What's going on, fellow A-Pluses? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys today. We got 6 incredible topics. We're going to be diving into a brand new inside look at the upcoming Fantastic Four film set to go ahead and drop this upcoming July. Some great breakdown of characters and so forth. We even got some big Dune 3 news as Robert Pattinson is in fact set to join the cast. What will that do for the filming for the Batman? We also got a deep dive into How to Train Your Dragon, the live action film set to go ahead and drop sometime this year as well, and a ton more, guys. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report. It is I, your host, Adam Perez, joined none other by his co-host, Stuart Branscombe, making his fantastic return here after the 2-week hiatus. How you been, man? How was WonderCon? How was your time away from home? Tell me, man. How are you doing, bro?
Been great. WonderCon was amazing. I had the most incredible, kind of vacation, mostly staycation, because what we ended up doing is we just stayed at my fiance's cousin's apartment most of the week. And I mean, we went out every now and then, but really it was just kind of us relaxing there most of the time. I did a lot of writing, which was really nice. And I feel like I actually accomplished quite a bit in this, kind of horror film that I'm working on at the moment. And yeah, it overall just an awesome time. And especially, some of the panels we went to, which of course are on the channel as well, at WonderCon. There were a couple that we went to that we didn't put on the channel only because I didn't think it would help the algorithm of our channel or in any way. But there were a couple other good ones that I really enjoyed. Emperor's New Groove panel and that stuff. Also some really cool vendors that we met. All these really awesome artists from Artist Alley.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that's cool. They had a pretty was the Artist Alley pretty stacked?
Oh yeah. They had quite a bit in terms of variety, from people that were publishing their own independent comic books to people that were basically just selling kind of some of their regular art, whether it be on pins, on paper, sometimes painting, sometimes sketchings, and yeah,
Cool.
it was just an awesome variety overall. And then of course there were a lot of comic book vendors selling just older comic books. Hence I think I brought it up how I bought purchased the first comic book I ever bought when I saw it.
Oh, nice.
Just for fun. So that was really cool. But yeah, overall, like I said, just an awesome time. If any of you guys ever have the chance, I highly recommend WonderCon. It's the perfect, it's perfect for if you wanted to go to Comic-Con but could never get in because getting a ticket to Comic-Con is such a pain in the butt. This is kind of the perfect, it's not as big, but it definitely is kind of like Comic-Con, but just scaled down a bit,
Nice. That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm still crossing our fingers one day, Stuart. We can get some tickets to go to Comic-Con, man. It's like my dream come true. I'm still waiting for that to happen. But I think Indy right now, Indy is over at C2E2. I don't know if he's going to get any coverage for the channel. I think he's only there for the weekend. I can't remember if he's working this week as a volunteer or if he's actually there just for himself or not. But he may or may not have some coverage for us this week, but I'll keep you guys posted. And then at the end of May, we have Dallas Fan Expo out here that we have every year. Myself and another co-host of mine, Josh, from the WrestleManiacs podcast, he's going to be joining me to get some coverage. So we'll have maybe 5 or 6 panels for you guys from Fan Expo. We'll have a couple of shorts. What I want to try and do is maybe do some Facebook Live stuff while we're there, walk around with a microphone, interview some cosplayers that are walking by, maybe some vendors and stuff, some artists and whatnot while we're walking the showroom floor. So we may do some cool Facebook Live stuff and then have some shorts, some reels and things like that, and some panel highlights for the YouTube channel. So this feels very much like Comic-Con season. So I'm excited, man.
That's awesome. I hope you guys have a lot of fun, and hopefully the panels, hopefully they do good for the channel.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. They usually do. They're really reliable in regards to long lasting views. You know, like I look and there's some months where panels from like 5 6 months ago are some of our like top videos still. Helps drive in a little bit of revenue, a couple of cents here and there, but it certainly all adds up, you know what I mean? So I think Comic-Con panels are always like really long lasting for a channel. But it's good to
I
have you
think,
back, Stuart.
yeah, I think it's great for people who like want to do kind of research on a project or an actor, and they want to get as much as they can on it. And there's some of the
Yeah.
smaller panels they just don't upload on the official WonderCon page. So I think it's like perfect, for other channels to like archive them if it's not getting archived anywhere else.
Yeah, I think it's also a great insight too for people that have always wanted to go to a convention but never made the decision to do so. I think it's just a nice, like, it gives people a reason to want to go out and meet some of their celebrities, or just go to some of the panels, check out some conventions and stuff, and see what they can. It's always a fun time. I always find, like, for me, conventions are always places. I feel like when you go to conventions, you're not going to find like toxic fandom. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like there's always, like, yeah, you might have some people you disagree with, but like toxic fans aren't there. They're not going to spend their money to go to these conventions and like give everybody a miserable time. I feel like when I go to conventions, people are there because they enjoy the content and the franchises, and it's really a celebration. You know what I mean? And so it's always a really fun time to be able to connect with fans and see people that love the same things that you do. So I love going to conventions.
Yeah, definitely.
But we missed you around here, Stuart. I got tired just talking to myself, man, for 2 weeks straight. But it's fun to have you here. We'll see what happens next weekend, because I believe we have it's Easter next weekend. So we'll keep you guys posted if we have a live show or not. But regardless, Stuart is back. But before we get into our honorable mentions, let's give some people some shout outs here today, for people that are joining us live. Remember, as we go through these topics, guys, if you have any thoughts that you want to talk with us about, if you want to give your opinions on some of the topics, please feel free to do so in the live chat. We love bringing up your comments and thoughts, and having some conversations with you guys also. Enrique, what's up, buddy? Says he just saw Brave New World on digital and it was amazing. Also comes with the deleted scene from the movie. Ooh, I'm kind of curious
Hmm.
what that deleted scene might be, but I'm glad that you liked it, Enrique. Last Monday was the 30th anniversary of the Goofy movie. There's a documentary called Not Just a Goof. Have you seen that, Stuart, at all?
The documentary, no,
Yeah.
but I've seen the Goofy movie so many times.
There was a documentary just recently, one episode documentary, The Dark Side of the Power Rangers. Did you get
I
it?
heard about that.
Have you watched it yet?
Not yet. It's on my list though.
I think it's on like Discovery ID or ID Discover. I can't remember what it is, but I think I can get it through Max, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I can find it up there. Or maybe Discovery ID is its own app. I'm not quite sure. But regardless, I want to check it out because I do love me some Power Ranger content. Blossom in the house. Good to certainly see you around here, Blossom. Thank you so much for certainly coming through. Star Wars Celebration in Japan is just days away. We got upcoming announcements from Lucasfilm and Andor Season 2, Ahsoka, and the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I wish I was in Japan, man. Some of the like the art style and promo stuff for Star Wars Celebration just looks so cool because it's in Japan. I really, really wanted to go, but it's just so much money to certainly fly out there, and wasn't able to get press passes or anything like that. But it would have been really cool to go to Star Wars Celebration. Anytime we have a Star Wars Celebration, that's like my convention of the year because I'm such a big Star Wars nerd. I've been to 2 so far. I went to one in Indianapolis years ago for the celebration of Revenge of the Sith. I think they were kicking off Revenge of the Sith at that time. That's how old I am. And then I went to the one in Chicago, which I think was 2019. Might have been they released the trailer for the Rise of Skywalker there. It was such a fun time, man. I've been to 2 Star Wars celebrations. If I can go every time they have one, I absolutely would. But yeah, we do have some big Star Wars stuff coming up. Andor Season 2 drops April 22nd. For those of you who are curious, we will be doing Andor reviews, live reviews. Andor airs on Tuesday. We will be doing live reviews for Andor Thursday nights. So look forward to that. And we'll see what Star Wars Celebration gives us. You expect any big announcements, Stuart, from Japan?
Mm. I don't know. Maybe one of the many announced movies might have an update, like something like more concrete, or we could get some more production information on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because I feel like that's got to start production sometime soon with it coming out next
Oh,
year.
I think it's wrapped. I think it's
Oh,
wrapped.
oh wait, they've already filmed. Oh,
Yeah, I think they I want to say it's wrapped. But I
I
know for
really
a
hope you're
fact that
right.
yeah, I want to say it's wrapped. I know for a fact that it was in production already. I just don't know if it's been fully wrapped. I can probably Google it real quick. So I am hoping that we do have some footage, whether it be a teaser trailer or whatnot. I know this movie's not set to drop until next year, so they may not show us an actual trailer. Maybe some behind the scenes stuff, some exclusive images would certainly be nice, and maybe some concrete announcements on like the Sean Levy movie would be really great. If maybe they have the cast come out for the Sean Levy movie and give us some ideas to, yes, this movie is in production. We're beginning filming this date. Like, considering Kathleen Kennedy has talked about that being the next movie into production. So I am hoping that we have some like concrete evidence of that. That's probably the only two things I would expect from Star Wars Celebration, though. We got Laser Michael in the house. What's up, Laser? Good to see you, man. Rise and shine, buddy. Good to see you. Thomas Bennett in the house. What's up, Thomas? Thank you so much, man, for coming through. Chicken Jockey, I am Steve, Flint and Steel. Yeah, it's people have been rioting in the in the theaters. I've been seeing videos. Have you seen videos of people in the Minecraft theater, Stuart?
Oh man, I have. I'm so glad that I was on vacation for the premiere. I don't know if it got really bad at our theater, but we were playing it again this weekend when I was working, and while it wasn't like chaotic or anything, it was definitely like. Any other theater this would be fine, but it's at the Draft House where we're kind of like I always hate like kind of serving family, not hate, sorry, that's a strong word. I dislike serving families with kids only because we're technically a bar, and so it just means we have to be extra careful when delivering drinks and making sure like they don't go to the wrong seat. The other thing is like
I got
we're a
you.
lot stricter than other theaters when it comes to making sure people aren't talking or texting on their phones during the movie. And so it's like it's like I feel like whenever it's like a family of kids, I'm constantly like telling people to be quiet, and I don't like doing that if I don't have to. So it's like one of those things where I'm glad I wasn't working during the premiere of Minecraft, because I know it would have been like everything I hate about work. So yeah, it's definitely it's funny. It hasn't been like selling out at our theater, but it's like the people that have been coming to see it seem to be very much like very into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw some clips and stuff from on Twitter, and I'm blown away by like some of the live reactions in theater, like the people cheering and like I mean not not like a raucous crowd or anything like that, but like I guess I don't understand Minecraft like that, right? Like
Mhm.
Minecraft was definitely a phase that I missed. So to kind of I see people saying like, man, it's getting like end game reactions in this movie, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I just don't understand that world. But I mean, Minecraft is huge, man, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's so weird because I'm in that age range where I should have been like on the Minecraft hype train, but I could never get into it. I tried.
Mhm.
I definitely tried, and I get it's like Fortnite. Minecraft and Fortnite, both games I've tried. I totally get the appeal for them. They are not for me. Although for Fortnite, it's because I absolutely suck at Fortnite. That's why I can't get into it. Like, oh my god, it's embarrassing. Like it's like watching a boomer try to pick up any kind of video game at all. It's like that's me with Fortnite. It is like, oh man, it was a mess when I tried to play it. So I think that's what it was. It's like I sucked at it, so I just never bothered.
No, I feel you. I feel like I'm in that same category. First off, real quick, we also just got a Facebook like from Billy Wasser. Appreciate you coming through, Billy. I believe she's watching the show live today. I want to give her a quick shout out and happy birthday. Happy birthday to Billy. She's always been a great supporter of our Facebook page. She drops in every now and then on our YouTube stuff, but always a big supporter of the channel and our content. So happy birthday, Billy. Yeah, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for always being a big supporter of the show.
Happy
Um,
birthday and thank you for the support.
yeah, absolutely. Marcelino, yeah, every once in a while she'll give me some thoughts on some of the movies and things like that she's checked out. So, Marcelino, one of the actors from Peacemaker season 2, Bray Noel, confirms that she will play Batman villain White Rabbit. Very cool. Very cool. another James Gunn taking a non-existent character that people don't really know and making them hopefully famous. Marcelino says, well, to challenge your argument, Adam, Star Wars Theory, Geeks and Gamers, Eric July, and Critical Thinker hosted a panel at MegaCon 2025 in Orlando. Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, prove me wrong there. Yeah, for sure, man. I guess Toxic Fandom does get around to some conventions, but it being in Florida, I guess shouldn't surprise me. But yeah.
Yeah. And, it's like you can't just not allow someone to host a panel because they're toxic. It's like if they, I'm depending on the type of toxicity. Let me be clear about that, obviously. But what I mean is that when we start like kind of saying, "Oh, I don't like the way you talk about the fan base, so we don't want you to host a panel here," then that's when it kind of becomes like okay, so now what is this category really going to lead to? Now you're saying that you someone has to like agree with your opinions for them to host a panel here. So you know what I mean? It gets so it does make sense that I feel like even if I don't like someone, even if it's like I majorly disagree with a lot of their perspective on things, if they have if they want to host a panel and they're willing to pay for it, I don't think like disagreeing is a good reason not to let them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Sam, what's up, Sam? Can't wait for the new Star Wars Tales of the Underworld. Yeah, trailer looked dope. And Ricky, did you see the new behind the scenes feature for Thunderbolts? If you mean the one of Florence Pugh practicing jumping off the second tallest building in the world, yeah, it was pretty dope. It was pretty dope.
Captain America, do it. So can I. No, you don't have superpowers.
Yeah, it's I'm really liking the marketing. I'm liking the marketing for Sinners has been great marketing, and so has Thunderbolts. Sinners comes out this week. If you guys haven't checked it out, it will be dropping on the 18th of April. So check out Sinners. But Stuart, let's go ahead and kick off this show, man, with our first segment of the day. And we're going to get into some honorable mentions. For those of you who don't know what honorable mentions are, pretty much topics that we wanted you to certainly know about, but just did not quite make our top 6 for the week. But definitely felt you certainly deserve to know about what is going on in the world of movie and television. Stuart, I don't know. Do you have any honorable mentions you wanted to bring up today?
I do, but let me know if you already brought this one up. Okay, because it's kind of weird, but we did talk about CinemaCon like a while or a couple weeks ago, so it may have come up and I completely forgot. But apparently, something that theaters are going to start trying to do, which I'm very curious to see how this all ends up playing out, is they first of all want to start like having some theaters where they will allow you to use your phone, which I will say. I think I could enjoy a movie if someone else is on their phone, as long as the sound is completely silent. And I don't even mean vibrate; like it has to be completely off, and as long as the brightness is turned all the way down. I don't think I have a problem with that. The other thing, and this is going to be weird, and it's going to be something that only a select few theaters are going to be allowed to do. Some theaters are going to start, or they want to start opening theaters that allow you to smoke marijuana while inside the theater. Which the challenging thing at the moment, I don't think there's a legal way you can own a place that both serves marijuana and food at the same time. So I think that's the current challenge that they have with that idea. But I think that would actually be kind of fun, like a theater where you could actually like kind of smoke weed while watching the movie, as long as they're still strict about the whole, no talking and no, especially on your phone thing. I think it could work potentially. But I guess only time will tell if this actually goes through, and if it does, like how successful it is. But again, I just hope that if they go through with the cell phone things in particular, that they're strict about making sure brightness is low, sound is completely off. I don't want like any brightness like in the corner of my eye when I'm trying to pay attention to the movie. But yeah, it's interesting. I think that like theaters are starting to have to like kind of adjust because they're not making the same revenue that they used to. So it'll be interesting to see if this helps or if it just makes things worse. But yeah,
I mean, I guess for the phone thing, I mean, look, I don't think we need it personally. I mean, guys, this has been the rule of cinema for decades. Okay, like, I mean, I know people continue to use their phones more and more and more, but like, why? why do we need to? I don't think we need to change the rules on that. Just say here by the rules, guys. All right. I mean, but then I think because then you open up a bag of worms in the sense of people recording things.
Yeah.
Who's gonna limit that? Are you gonna have ushers at the doors at all time to like make sure things aren't too bright in the like? I just don't. I think movie theaters are jumping through loops or hoops to try and make everything available for everybody. So I'm not a fan when it comes to the phone thing. It's been a rule in cinema. Just put your phone away, guys. Like it's really not that hard. If you can't, just go home and watch a movie, bro. Like honestly. As far as the marijuana thing though, I mean I get it, but I would just my thing would be you would almost have to have one theater designated for that.
Mm.
Right? Like
Yeah, you couldn't.
you would have to have like a air filtration system specifically for that. Like when I think of this, I think of like a cigar bar. Like I'm sure they have like rooms inside where you can smoke that they probably have some sort of air filtration system so that the cigar smoke maybe doesn't get into other areas of the place. So I think you would have to do the same thing because you want to avoid secondhand for sure. You would have to also make sure people underage don't get there. So I think you would probably have to have people at the door to check IDs and such. It might be just a heavy lift, I think, for movie theaters to do it because I don't think you just make okay, it's available for everybody. No, I think you have to make a specific one theater in your place designated for just smokers. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
100%. It has to be a theater that you build from the ground up. You can't take an already existing theater and then suddenly go, okay, in this auditorium you could smoke weed. Because yeah, all the things that you just said, yeah, secondhand getting everywhere. Yeah, that would be a lawsuit waiting to happen.
But if it's available, I think that's dope. I think that would be dope because I mean, who doesn't like to watch a good movie while you're smoking? But yeah. So we'll see. Well, I just don't know if theaters want to put that type of money into developing like just the one specific theater room where everybody can, smokers can go if they want to. I just think financially that almost might be a waste of money. But it's a cool concept. But I don't think they'll do it. But cool honorable mention, man. I like it. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Just to see what the future of cinema is, because yeah, it's like I really do hope that theaters kind of I don't want to say get their act together, but I do want to say that I hope that they go back to being more profitable in the future. And I think that we're just at this weird balance where it's like people aren't sure if it's the fault of theaters themselves, if it's the fault of home media suddenly looking better than some movie theaters, depending on the type of TV you have, or if it's the case of like just movies. Well, I don't think it's the case of the movies. Let me just say that right now. But, some people are being like, oh, it's because movies are, not as good as they used to be. So no one wants to see them. I don't think that's the issue.
Yeah,
I think the issue of people not going out to see movies is more based on like theater experiences versus home experiences.
Yeah, and I think so too. I think the studios have really shot themselves in the foot in allowing their movies to be in and out of theaters so quickly and available in home. One of the AMC presidents right now is trying to have conversations with theaters to allow their movies to be in there at least a minimum of 45 days. Which this is the same AMC president who during the COVID streaming era was like, no, we need to get our movies on streaming quickly. And now he's realizing, financially, it's not beneficial for movie theaters or even the movie studios to throw their movies onto streaming very quickly. So now he's trying to elongate the movies at the theaters a little bit longer, which I'm a fan of. I personally think 90 days should be the minimum. But, if you have a movie that's going to be in theaters for 3 weeks, maybe a month, it doesn't really incentivize people to go to the movies when they think, okay, in a month it's going to be available for me on streaming. I'll just watch it at home, sort of thing. So you really got to, I think, limit the time that it takes for movies to be on the big screen to streaming. Like if you really want to see this movie, guys, are you going to wait 3 months? Are you going to wait 4 months? Or would you rather go and see the movie in theaters? So I think that's another part that plays a role in it too. Laser says, did you hear about the Chicken Jockey 4DX screening at Regal where everyone could go crazy and make a huge mess for employees? Interesting.
That sounds
Uh,
terrible.
yeah, I guess for somebody that does work at the theater, Stuart's like, yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. Um, but all right, what else do we got here? Other honorable mentions for you guys. Devil May Cry 2, season 2, I should say, is coming soon. It's been greenlit. For those of you who don't know, season 1 just recently dropped on Netflix. I don't know how many episodes it is, but they do have a new animated series for Devil May Cry. Season 1 currently on Netflix. I guess the reception has been relatively good to where Netflix wanted to go ahead and announce that there is, in fact, a second season coming soon. Don't know. There's no release date as of yet, but we will be getting more. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to see it for yourself or not, Stuart, but season 2 on the way. Also, season 3 of The Last of Us has been confirmed. The Last of Us has been renewed for season 3 at HBO ahead of the season 2 premiere, which is tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Season 2 premieres tonight, so get excited. It says Deadline understands that the decision has not been made whether season 3 will be the series' last or not. But it is coming. Season 3 is coming. I do believe they did talk a little bit about, I think Craig Mazin, the one of the showrunners for the show, said that if it does go into a season 4, he personally won't be involved. So I do wonder if that will be a deciding factor if we get ourselves a season 4. But as of right now, we do know season 3 is official.
God, because I have questions now on how this season's going to play out. Is it going to be half of The Last of Us 2, or if it's going to be all of The Last of Us 2, and then it continues the story afterwards, which I think they could do. I can't remember if I brought this up before when we talked about the possibility of a third season. I do think that you could continue the story after the events of Last of Us 2. And if the show wants to go that direction, even though we don't have a Last of Us 3, I'm all for it.
What else do we got in the news here today? Tomb Raider has some potential unfortunate news. This came to us from PC Gamer. The headline says Amazon's Tomb Raider series reportedly dead after tens of millions in development costs resulted in no script. I don't know how reliable the Daily Mail is, Stuart. But according to the Daily Mail, now cites a source saying that Lara Croft's mooted small screen adventures are not going ahead, while another source is even more unambiguous, saying the project is dead. Neither Prime Video or Waller Bridges representatives have commented on it, though. Says this is not the first time that rumors have swirled around the production, and whether fairly or not, the fingers point to Waller Bridges' scripts, which were apparently delayed for some time and then judged unsuitable for the project. So again, I don't know how reliable the Daily Mail is, if that's more like a tabloid, like the Inquirer or something like that. But right now there are rumors swirling that it could potentially be dead, but take that as a rumor right now. If it is true, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like J.J. Abrams' deal with Warner Brothers when they're like, "Hey, we're going to pay you $250 million to produce content for us," and the man never like he didn't make one single thing. It felt like, and I think eventually they canceled the deal, but yeah, we were waiting forever for like a Justice League Dark or something to happen, and nothing ever materialized. So that's what it kind of vibes I'm getting if this turns out to be true.
Mm-hmm. But you know what, actually, because you brought up the Justice League Dark with J.J. Abrams, and it just kind of made me think of something. Because we got Sinners coming out, right? With Ryan Coogler behind it, who has had experience working on Black Panther. So he definitely knows the world of comic books. And now he's doing horror. And from what I've heard from people that have seen the movie already, Sinners is an amazing film. So next person who should do like any kind of horror aspect in the DC universe, I think J.J. Abrams should try to recruit Ryan Coogler next time for the next like kind of Justice League Dark project.
Yeah, that'd be dope. I would love to see his vision in another comic book world for sure. Yeah, I mean Ryan Coogler just doesn't miss, y'all. It's almost factual. He just does not miss. Laser says, does the game have a third part? Marcelino does answer him, no, only 2 games. But Neil Druckmann has said, like, if we are going to finish off the story, he says expect it in television, maybe before video game. So yeah, just take that as you will. Marcelo says also Kevin Conroy was able to do a voice role in Devil May Cry before his death. That's cool. I
I
feel
heard
like
about that.
Kevin Conroy is like, he must have had like a bunch of content like just in the vault waiting to be, humanus, or whatever that word is. Him just waiting to still come back from the dead to go in and do stuff for us. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
because I noticed with Kevin Conroy, Lance Reddick, and then now even because of the new Final Destination with Tony Todd, like
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's like all these actors that have passed away, we're still seeing them in new movies coming out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Also, I don't have an image for this, Stuart, but apparently the people have won, Stuart, when it comes to the Oscars. The Oscars have heard us for years, claiming stunts need to be recognized at the Academy, and it is official, ladies and gentlemen. This comes to us here. I'll actually pull this up here real quick just to show you the article so you know I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Empire says stunts to finally be recognized by the Academy with the new award set to debut at the 100th Oscars in 2008. It says, as shared by Deadline, the Academy Board of Governors announced today that the new stunt gong will go live in 2028, meaning that movies released in 2027 will be eligible for consideration. So it says it's going to be stunt design. The first Academy Award of Achievement in Stunt Design is set to be handed out. So since the earliest cinema, stunt design has been an integral part of filmmaking. We are proud to honor the innovative work of these technical and creative artists, and we congratulate them in their commitment and dedication and reaching this momentous occasion. So, yeah, it's going to be really highlighting, I guess, the design, the technicality of putting the stunt together. That's going to be sort of recognized. So, I think that's cool, man. I think that's really cool. I heard somebody say it would be an injustice if Tom Cruise wasn't allowed to present the first award, which I kind of agree with. I think Tom should be the presenter for this one.
I don't know because we got the next Mission Impossible movie coming out, which I could easily see him getting that Oscar for. So it'd be a little pretentious for him to give the Oscar to himself.
Well, again, this is for movies recognized in
Oh wait, in
2027.
2020, yeah, my bad,
2027.
yeah.
So yeah, he would have missed the mark on this one for sure, which is kind of unfortunate. But we got
I hope he makes a joke about that then.
yeah, yeah, right. Like, oh, good, thanks, guys. After risking my life, now you make an award for it. Thanks. But I think that's pretty cool. And then last but not least, for you Superman heads out there, if you want some new Superman content, first off, we got this brand new exclusive image from Collider. But Deadline had an opportunity to talk with the president over at one of the co-chairmen and CEOs of Warner Brothers, Mike DeLuca. Deadline asked him about the upcoming Superman movie. And this is what he had to say. This is from Mike DeLuca. He says, I love Superman. I think James Gunn has crushed it. It's got tons of his trademark heart and humor, and the action is jaw-dropping. It's the Superman I grew up with, so I got choked up when I watch it. I think it's so epic and visually arresting and emotional. The performances are great. It is a 5-star movie to me, and I can't wait for the world to see it. Yeah, we're really excited about Superman. James crushed it. He said, I would say in spirit, it is closer to that, talking about the Christopher Reeves, Richard Donner, but it's also a big hunk of epic sci-fi. It has a little bit of what I loved about Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's true blue Superman. The comic book sources that he used for inspiration, All-Star Superman and the like, are in there too. It is really a love letter to what has made Superman endure for almost 100 years. He managed to get it all in there. That's Mike DeLuca about Superman. Stuart, that gets me excited, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like just a copy and paste. Hey, this is something that everybody says. I do love that Mike tends to put his own descriptive concepts about how it makes him feel in this for sure.
Yeah, like I don't think he would have talked bad about it if he didn't like the movie. But the stuff that he says about it makes it feel very genuine. And it's also stuff that I kind of expected the movie to do right. Like I knew it was going to have some good James Gunn humor, and I knew it would definitely have some fantastic action. I mean, this guy, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, man, this guy knows how to direct some big scale action scenes. So hearing that doesn't like surprise me, but it gives me that kind of comforting like confirmation, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like funny. They didn't need to have someone who's already seen the movie to sell me on this movie. I was going to see it regardless, but at least I know that it's going to be kind of. At least I have a little more confidence that it's going to be the experience I'm hoping it's going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Laser says James Gunn said the new trailer is not going to be here anytime soon. Yeah, I saw that. I was expecting something to drop in April for Superman Day, but he's claiming that's potentially not the case. So maybe they wait until May. I mean, we're talking May, June, July, 2 months out. That was just a teaser trailer we had, right? That wasn't like an official trailer.
No, he even said as much, like, because I tend to look at comments on certain posts. So when I was like looking through the comments of when he posted it on his Instagram, someone said, "Wow, what a cool trailer!" And he straight up corrected him, saying, "This isn't a trailer. I just finished the trailer. It's going to blow your guys' minds."
Yeah. So yeah, the first official trailer not coming Superman Day unless he's just trying to pull a fast one on all of us. Enrique says, when is Superman Day? It's April 18th, so it's next Friday. I would think you would put it attached to Sinners at least, but I think Sinners has a lot of momentum already. This is one of the things why I thought that they would attach it to it. So I'm kind of surprised by this move, but so I don't know what they're waiting for. But yeah, maybe May is the big day. But we'll see. We'll keep you guys posted. But that will do it for all of our honorable mentions today. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's see here. Oh, also, guys, Daredevil Born Again, episode 8. I have not dropped the episode 8 review just yet because there's a part of me that wants to kind of drop episode 8 and 9 together. There's a part of me with the finale coming up. It feels like it's certainly like a two-parter. So there's a part of me that wants to kind of review it once we get the season finale. So I may hold off on my episode 8 review until 9 drops and just talk about them sort of as a whole, if you will. But expect that later on this week. But regardless, great episode, Stuart, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I loved that ending. Something I've been noticing about the show that's been incredible. I love the use of like kind of the color palette, if that makes sense, because they did that in the Netflix show, but and it's probably because this version has a bigger budget. But I don't know, it just the colors pop so much more in Daredevil Born Again. Just like kind of like how they do in the Daredevil comic books, and I really like how they're kind of matching that. It's something that even the Ben Affleck movie, what was doing a lot. Although I think that in the Ben Affleck movie, it came off as more campy than anything because it's like the very early 2000s CG and computer effects and everything. So I think that it's just now gotten kind of perfected where it looks just good enough to like kind of stand out, but it doesn't look like too campy or anything,
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. All right, guys, with that out of the way, Stuart, I think it's time to get into our main topics. You ready to jump into this with me, man?
Always.
Let's go ahead and do it. We got a couple of great topics for you guys today. Up in the news first is going to be the Fantastic Four. Entertainment Weekly this week had a long, I should say, a really in-depth look at the Fantastic Four movie as they got the opportunity to visit the set and really talk with each individual about their characters a little bit to give us a little bit more insight in regards to how they're approaching their characters for this brand new film. So we're going to be diving into that. We got some How to Train Your Dragon news, a quick insight into Killer of Killers, the brand new Predator animated film, and a couple other topics here today. But for us, we're going to be starting off with the Fantastic Four. I love that Michael Giacchino soundtrack, man. It's about time that Marvel, outside of the Avengers theme, it doesn't feel like they've really had like a solid theme song for their movies, but the Fantastic Four sounds like it's going to be one to remember. But we're going to talk about the Fantastic Four here today, along with the cast. Entertainment Weekly dropped a big article. If you want to check it out for yourself, it is currently up on our YouTube or our Facebook page. I highly recommend. It's a great read. I went ahead and highlighted some aspects of this that I thought was worth talking about because it's such a long article. So I just wanted to highlight portions of it. But again, I would recommend you guys check it out for yourselves. But let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here. They also delivered some brand new images for us too, which I found fascinating. Let's see here. So talking about the film, it says walking through the extensive sets at Pinewood with the film's costume designer, production designer, producers, and director, one word comes up repeatedly: retro futurism. The aesthetic watchword for this film meant that in every aspect, the creative team wanted to combine 60s period details with sci-fi imagination. To get even more specific, Shackman described the film style as where Kubrick or Kirby meets Kubrick, with the original Fantastic Four comics and the 2001 Space Odyssey as the major visual reference point. He says, we knew that we would be on another Earth, so we had a chance to reinvent what the 60s looked like, Shackman says. I was really interested in imagining Fantastic Four being astronauts instead of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin going to the moon. What if it was Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben who were really the first to go into outer space, the first to push those boundaries? So I thought that was pretty interesting, kind of making them. I mean, this Fantastic Four seems like it's like they're the cool kids of the 60s. You know, they're like the nuclear family that everybody sort of wants to be and looks up to, certainly as role models, right? Like they're already famous. And I think so Shackman says, and then they go into space and get superpowers and they come back with superpowers. It's like they have a little bit of everything working for them. You know what I mean? But I do like the concept of trying to make a film feel like a Kubrick film, giving it that retro futuristic kind of look. I will be interested to see like what some of the filming techniques were behind this one and make it hopefully feel like a Kubrick film as well.
I will say that, like, from what I've seen in the trailers, I definitely have not gotten that vibe. But
That vibe, yeah.
yeah, but we'll see how it all plays out in the movie. But yeah, I didn't realize that they were meant to be like the first family that actually goes into outer space. That's a pretty cool thing. I do like how with this all taking place in like an alternate universe, you know, they're not just using it as a way to like kind of be lazy and not have to worry about like continuity, but instead they're actually like embracing the fact that it's an alternate universe by giving it almost like a completely different aesthetic and feel to it, giving it like a whole new kind of world building. I really like that aspect of you know, the movie so far.
Yeah, what I've also seen or heard too was that's one of the things that he really loved about doing this was the idea that let me see, can I do it? Yeah, let's do it this way. I want to see, can I enlarge us? I'm trying to see if I can make our pictures bigger on here or not. I don't know. One of the things that he says, I think later in this article, was that he loved the idea that he was in a self-contained world, that because it was an alternate universe, it did allow them to kind of create a new visual for what their MCU kind of looked like. He does say, don't expect any Easter eggs in here, that there's like no other superheroes in this world, which is a little bit of a bummer to me because I was kind of hoping maybe we get like a retro futuristic like X-Men group or something like that, like going back to early Stan Lee X-Men comics. But he says it's really a very much a self-contained world, which gave Matt Shackman a lot of freedom to create what he certainly wanted to in here. Let's see here, what else we got. Oh, we also have them talking a little bit about Ben Grimm, The Thing. Let's see. It says Kirby has a generational imagination, but it was rooted in his upbringing in the Jewish slums of New York's Lower East Side. Just a little farther from the Fantastic Four workshop on the Pinewood lot stands a built-out set replicating Ben's native block of Yancey Street, a fictionalized version of Kirby's own childhood neighborhood, complete with kosher groceries and a synagogue. There's no futuristic inventions here, but the retro recreations are just as important to the atmosphere that First Steps is going for. It says Jack Kirby wrote this character of Ben Grimm as a bit of an homage to his father and to the streets that he grew up on, is what Ebon Moss-Bachrach says, who's playing the thing. He says, I'm a New Yorker, and I've spent a lot of time on Essex Street, on Delancey, on Clinton, so it does feel like home to me, and the production did a beautiful job recreating that. It was so cool to walk down and see the hat cellar and the fish cellar. I was shocked that we were outside of London because it felt fully like the Lower East Side. So it sounds like they're really paying kind of close attention to all the details and stuff, and the fact that he kind of continues to feel that way, I think, if anything, will just help him kind of get back into character a little bit more. It also talks about he says says for Moss Bachrach, getting cast was easy compared to what it took to bring the thing to life. And this is where they talk a little bit about the thing. He says, I've never collaborated with so many people, literally hundreds of people between the animators and the designers. It was a real team effort. Even though a lot of it's motion capture and created in animation, all of those costume pieces were built. We always had a suit on set that was the actual proportions so we could see how it would all fit. It was an ongoing and never ending kind of dialogue between me and the designers and the VFX people. It was a unique experience. I felt like the brain. I would make creative choices and then we'd circle back and they'd make it happen. I was deeply, deeply impressed by the seriousness and the dedication that all the designers had to make this man compelling and inhuman all at the same time. He says, it says Moss-Bachrach would do multiple takes with different getups. And the scene that we observed, he did some in gray motion capture suit with green dots and others with different body extensions. In some takes, a stand-in wore costume built to the thing's proportions. This helped all the actors remember how much space the thing takes up while also allowing them to relate to the man under the rock. He says the Fantastic Four are very close. They're family before they go out to space and get mutated. So it was helpful that it was just me standing there, because then when Joe or Vanessa or Pedro looked at me, they saw Ben as opposed to the thing. That's really valuable in terms of intimacy and the way that the way that we behave with each other. What do you think about that, Stuart, in the sense of like how they really managed to bring Ben to life here?
Yeah, I remember looking at the set photos where yeah, he basically had kind of a padded out version of the Thing costume that I assume they're going to CG over.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great idea because then, you know, actors always know exactly where to look, how much space they're taking up. I know that like with Josh Brolin, when he was playing Thanos, the only thing he really had was like kind of a Thanos head on top of him, so the actors knew where to look up. But it makes sense that with the Thing that they need something bigger proportion wise, because I imagine that like as the Thing, since he's a lot closer with them, they're not just going to be using him whenever there's a big fight scene. Like you'll actually be seeing him inside like kind of close, claustrophobic kind of environment. So I assume if they're using a real suit, that's why they're doing it, because they want to get like an idea of what would it actually be like for a man as big as the Thing to like go through a door, you know, for just something simple like that. So I really hope if they're doing this, if they're going through all this effort, it means that we get some like some pretty good comedy out of it, I would assume, like him just trying to do something simple. Like that was actually one of the things I think that they did really well in the 2005 Fantastic Four. There's a lot of things about that movie that doesn't work. The Thing was one of the best aspects of it, and I hope they kind of carry that into this movie.
2005, that's the first Fantastic Four one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you count the 90s Roger Corman movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not. I like the sound of this. I mean, I like the idea that it sounds like they had stand-ins for him, but I do like the idea that they allowed Ebon's face to kind of be shown throughout this. That like, while they do have practical suits, it's not like, here, let's put this mask on you so people know it's the Thing. It's like to be able to get the most out of the emotions and the connection to this character, the opportunity of having Ebon stand there with maybe just some of the extensions on, I think will really help in regards to just the overall performance of it. And there is something very spiritual about the idea too of like when they talk about his humanity and things like that, to for his family to still be able to see him as to who he is in regards to Ben Grimm and just not this monster, if you will. So to be able to tap into that level of emotion, I think is really brilliant on their part. I just think of like Ebon on set rocking like two big thing fists that you get from like Walmart or something like that, like just to represent him standing there in the space that he certainly might take up. I am curious to kind of see some of the behind the scenes stuff on filming for him. But yeah, I definitely like what he's saying. I like the idea that he's really working with the VFX people here and giving his input in regards to helping build this character and kind of bring him to life. I mean, you feel that a little bit too when you see like just a teaser trailer of him talking with Herbie and him expressing himself, right? Like one of the things that we've talked about is like this, while he's clearly struggling still with the concept of who he was compared to who he is now, that's always been a big, quote unquote, big thing for the Thing. It does seem like he's been the Thing for a while to where he's still able to embrace his humanity and still be him and allow his personality to kind of shine through despite what his physical appearance certainly looks like. So I do love that Ebon is being able to tap into that New York. I didn't even know he was a New Yorker, honestly, but I am glad to see that he's able to tap into that and make that shine through for the Thing also.
Sorry, you set me up for this one when you brought up the Thing gloves, but you know how in Deadpool they call it masturbating when you use the Hulk gloves? So if you use the Thing gloves, would it be called clobber baiting?
Yes, I do. I love it. It's clobbering time for sure. It gives a whole new meaning to it for sure.
Exactly. Deadpool Fantastic Four crossover needs to happen now just so we can make that joke. No other reason.
They also talk a little bit about Johnny in here too. Shout out to Joseph, man. Johnny is Marvel's archetype of a hothead teenager. This is what I will say. People on the internet went crazy for these quotes here when it comes to Johnny Storm. Johnny is Marvel's archetype of a hothead teenager. But what exactly that means has been open to interpretation over the years. In 2005 and 2007's Fantastic Four movies, for instance, Chris Evans played the character as a skirt-chasing scallywag. Quinn wanted to do something different. He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be an affront sometimes. But he's also he's funny, is what he says. Myself and Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige were speaking about previous iterations of him and where we are culturally. He was branded as this womanizing, devil may care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. Johnny is the little brother of the Fantastic Four, Quinn notes, but that's not the only quality that defines him. He also goes on to say in here, he says, he's really smart, Shackman says. He's on that spaceship for a reason. And I think sometimes people forget that in various comic stories, he's been one of the most heroic of them. Even if he's undercutting his heroism at every turn through humor, he's Sue's brother, which means they are cut from a similar cloth. So yeah, don't sleep on Johnny's smarts here. I do love the idea that they say he is on that ship for a reason. He's not just on there because he's certainly a pretty face, but when I think of Johnny Storm, yeah, I think we easily go back to Chris Evans. Look, first of all, times have certainly changed. Let's not be, ignorant to that. Times have definitely changed. He definitely was more the skirt chasing sort of guy back in 2005. Definitely a lot of bravado, a lot of self-confidence for sure. When I look at the Michael B. Jordan version of him, though, I don't get the same aspect of Chris Evans. I do feel like I get a completely different Johnny Storm in the sense that somebody that's clearly confident in himself. clearly he's also carrying, I think, a lot of personal things, whether that be against his father, things that he feels like he certainly has to prove. So I already look at these two Johnny Storms as significantly different. And now I do find it fascinating that Joseph Quinn is going to bring sort of a new wrinkle to who Johnny Storm is. I don't think, the 2005 Chris Evans, as much as we absolutely love him, I don't think that that's like a solidifying, like, this is who Johnny is and has to be certainly all the time. But I also think men in the 60s were just different. Men in the 50s and 60s at that time that this Johnny Storm is set up to be was just completely different, whether that be how he treated women, how he viewed himself, maybe a little bit more suave and a little bit more, understood that he was good looking, but didn't boast about it, carried themselves a little bit more differently than what they do in the 2000s. And so I think there is a level of Johnny that I can easily see coming out from the early versions of Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four, where there is certainly a level of humor, but there's also a level of smarts and the idea of having to live up to not only your sister, but being around Reed Richards and things like that. So what he says in here doesn't upset me like I think it's upset some people online, because I think we've already had two very different versions of Johnny Storm, and the idea of this representing a Johnny Storm in the 60s, not a modern day version of that character, I think makes perfect sense in here. But what about you, Stuart, when you hear how Joseph Quinn wants to approach this guy?
I think people are blowing it a bit out of proportion. And I think also it's a mixture of that and a mixture of just people kind of I mean, kind of like what you said before, taking like kind of a writing style that was like, in the 60s and then trying to modernize it. But now you're trying to modernize it while also telling a story that takes place within the 60s.
And within the 60s, yeah.
So yeah, it's a challenging character to adapt when you're kind of doing that. So I think this is a unique direction, and I think like the thing is that they're not trying to say that he doesn't have flaws, and I think that's what a lot of people are trying to like claim that Joseph Quaid is saying, as if they're acting like oh yeah, so he's just an already complete character from the beginning of this movie, so there's no arc for him or anything to overcome. It seems like all the kind of like aspects of Johnny that he needs to kind of develop over time. Like, so essentially his kind of immaturity is like the best way to put it. It seems like he's still going to have that. It's just going to have a little more self-awareness. It's going to have like something where I feel like that self-awareness is there so it can be brought up within the movie itself. So yeah, no, I don't think there's anything bad about this decision. I think that actually works really well. I think what happens is that some people have seen how it's been handled in the past, and I think like best example is the Netflix Avatar, where they took out like kind of the sexist aspect of Sokka, I mean, in the very beginning of the show. But the problem was they didn't replace it with anything. They didn't give him something else, a different flaw, to overcome. They just decided, oh yeah, he's no longer sexist. And also he's a good planner from the start. So it's like, there's literally no development for Sokka in Avatar because he's basically a complete character from the beginning. And I think that's what people were worried was going to happen with Johnny Storm in this movie. I don't think that's quite the case. I think they're just toning down because, I mean, that is something that also doesn't hold up about the 2005 movie. I know that Johnny's supposed to be immature and everything, but I feel like in some of the like early 2000s movies, like right before 2010, you get it from that, you get it from the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. I think there's just a weird thing where like some guy characters act like they're in an early 2000s comedy in the way that they kind of like hit on women in a way that no guy or hopefully not a lot of guys do in real life, because it's just like there's no subtlety, there's no like like there's no like good intention behind it. It's just straight up like, hey, I like your ass, let's go out, kind of stuff like that. So I don't mind that they're toning that down. It's like it's one of those things that if you go back and watch either of them, it comes off as so cringe, honestly, more than anything else. So as long as they're not like trying to pull a Sokka where they make him a complete character and there's no flaws for him to overcome, I don't think this is I don't think this is a disservice to the character. They still mention that he's hot-headed, which I think is the most important aspect about Johnny, especially if you're telling it in an origin story like this movie.
Yeah, I think the hot headedness, the humor as far as traits go, um, the idea of him being very heroic, which I think also plays into the idea of him having to live up to, we'll talk a little bit about Sue, but having to live in his sister's shadow a little bit, the brilliance of her and things like that, in the sense of he's got to prove himself. So maybe he throws himself into situations maybe a little bit too quickly to prove himself, sort of thing. So I think all those elements certainly go hand in hand when it comes to Johnny. Marcelino says Joseph Quinn's has talked about toning down Johnny's womanizing traits. Many say he's a coward for bending the knee to the woke mob. Like, I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. In the sense of, like, when I think of Michael B. Jordan's character, I didn't see him as a womanizer. Did you?
If I'm being honest, I barely remember
That's
too
what I'm saying.
much in that movie.
I barely remember it, but
But I
I
do
don't
know that
recall
he
him.
wasn't a womanizer, but he definitely was a troublemaker, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah. He had like that teenage angst. He had that, like,
Yeah.
that something he had to prove to other people, and it got him into a lot of trouble. So again, we've seen Johnny differently before. And maybe some people will be like, well, that's why that other movie didn't do successfully. I mean, I don't think that's the case. But when they talk about Johnny in here, this feels like the Jack Kirby Johnny that I remember personally. So, read some comic books, guys. Let's see here. And then we also talked a little bit about Sue. Let me go ahead and bring this up here because they got some great details about Sue. Sue has accomplished just as much in the political realm as a head of the Future Foundation, a concept taken from Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run. She has helped achieve global demilitarization and peace. When Shackman and his collaborators say the dreams of the 60s have been made real in this movie, they don't just mean rocket ships. If he is the most scientifically intelligent person, then she is the most emotionally intelligent person on the planet, says of Reed and Sue. Between the two of them, they're building an idealistic society. So she's demilitarized the planet. If you play, she says, if you played an exact 60s Sue today, everyone would think that she was being a doormat. So I figured out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation, where the gender politics were different, and embody that today was one of the greatest joys of this. Over the years, Sue has evolved in several ways. Her abilities expanded from the individual invisibility to control over electromagnetic light and force fields, making her arguably the most powerful of the team members. At various times, she becomes a mother, a leader, and a skimpingly clad dominatrix named Malice. Synthesizing all these aspects into a singular character was a lot of fun for Kirby, who says motherhood in particular became the key through line indeed. Sue's pregnancy will play a significant part in the plot of Fantastic Four. So she is, in fact, pregnant in here. She says, Matt and I were really aware that there really hasn't been a mother with a baby in the superhero archetype women have been getting. One of the things I love most from Sue's history is when she becomes Malice. Let me bring this up here for you guys. She says, and all her dark stuff comes out. I was obsessed with this chapter of her life, so I wanted to make sure that there were tones of Malice in there with her, that she wasn't just the stereotype of a goody, sweet mother. So yeah, we're definitely going to get ourselves a different flavor of Sue Storm in here a little bit. But she goes on to also say, I've always been interested in the mess of femininity and how can you be both? How can you be all the things, not just the tough, invincible, powerful woman, but also a mother who gives birth, which is itself a superhero act? I love that these characters are real humans and a messy family who argue and try to work it out and get things wrong. Although Marvel is reluctant to confirm the identity of Sue's child, the comics canon provides two possibilities: a son named Franklin and a daughter named Valeria. So I am curious as to how which child it certainly might be, Stu.
I think it's gonna be their son. I forgot their son's name. But the one that, like, they actually commit to, like, keeping as a kid for, like, quite a bit, rather than, because it's so funny. I watched, like, this video talking about the trope in comic books, which is so true. Comic books, TV shows, all of them do this, where it's like a main character will have a kid, but oftentimes they will look for any excuse to write the kid out after like a couple of episodes or a couple of issues, and then maybe they'll bring the kid back as like a future version of themselves, but they're evil or something like that. So I assume in this one it's just going to be their son, from the comic books, and that there's a chance we could see him again in Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Franklin does pop up at some point. I'm assuming, or well, Franklin or Valeria. I personally would like them to go with Franklin, just based off of his mutant abilities and things like that, and just the integral part that he certainly plays. There's a part of me that thinks that Valeria also plays a part, though, when I try and think of Secret Wars, the Jonathan Hickman run. So I think it really could be either or. Um, Chicken on the Stick says, I got the suit in Marvel Rivals talking about the Malice suit because I like Sue. No other reason. Okay, yes, because you like the plot. You like the plot. I'm sure it's the plot.
It's the articles, of course.
So yeah, but for the articles, yeah. Blossom, Malice, the outfit on her, holy macaroni, feeling jealous just looking at her. Plus, Villain's wearing that sort of stereotypical, right? The females anyway. Yeah, he says I play the game for the plot. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm interested to see you, Vanessa Kirby, take on this role, man. I do love her approach here, and the fact that Shackman is making her sort of like, I think the fact that she's like the political figure in the sense of demilitarizing the world, I find really fascinating. Sort of that idealistic society that they've always kind of talked about, kind of coming to fruition here. So she's definitely gonna be playing a very powerful role in this movie. And I think one of the last tidbits I had in here, and I thought you would have fun with this one, Stuart. They talked a little bit about Galactus also, in this article, where they say, it says, in First Steps, Galactus will be portrayed by actor Ralph Ineson, wearing actual purple and blue armor. The costume workshop on set is full of various attempts at making his signature look work. Shackman says, I didn't want to just use motion capture for Galactus. I wanted to actually have someone there embodying the part. So we've built an entire costume for him, and we've done a lot of photography testing to figure out, how do you make sure that the scale is correct? How do you film Mount Rushmore? And so, yeah, he's gonna be a practical suit, Stuart. He's not gonna be like a blob of cloud. I mean, I think that the teaser trailer definitely suggested it, but the fact that it was an actual suit and it doesn't seem like it's going to be heavy on the CGI too much. I mean, to a certain extent, clearly, but the fact that he's actually going to have a suit, I think is brilliant to me personally. I'm a big fan of that.
Definitely. I think it's always funny because, like, whenever Marvel Studios makes a movie that's been done in the past, a property that's done in the past, like Spider-Man, and now in this case, Fantastic Four, it's almost like they always kind of like take a list of all the things that people didn't like about these movies, and I'm not saying they try to course correct everything, obviously, but there are definitely things where they're like, okay, we'll make sure not to make this mistake, and I feel like that was one of them. They're like, okay, no, if we're gonna do Galactus, we're going to do him right. We're going to do it the way he was, meant to be. So yeah, that excites me because, and again, how much I love practical effects over, CG. So the fact that they have a practical costume for Galactus, and the fact that, Galactus's costumes in the comic books is one of my favorite costumes in general, I'm excited to see this on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm really excited too, man. What's up, The Truth? Good to certainly see you in here. He says, okay, here we go. Love the practicality the film is going for. Yeah, man, I do too. I'm a really big fan of, I mean, from the set piece design. I mean, they talk about how big even like Reed's lab is, that they wind up sort of creating also. So we've got the big lab, we got the thing with the practical suits with certain elements in regards to trying to bring the thing to life, and now we also got Galactus as well. So they're really going out of their way. Clearly, there's going to be uses of CGI, but to have some level of practicality, give people an idea of like, I always think that it just adds to the imagination for the actor and being able to see what you're looking at and be able to actually express it instead of just having to imagine like what they could potentially look like on like a green screen or something like that. So I do expect the performances in here to really be helped out by it for sure. Shout out to Darth Gutierrez. What's up, Darth? Thank you so much for certainly coming through. The truth says, embrace the silliness of Fantastic Four. That's what makes it endearing. Yeah, and I think also, look, what Jack Kirby created back in the 60s, to be able to kind of see some of those designs kind of brought to life, I think is going to be fascinating for me at least. How do you bring some of those over the top, bigger than life kind of designs into this retro futuristic world? And I think it's something that may have been lacking in some of the other Fantastic Four movies, maybe based off of just where we were technology wise back in the day when those films were made. But now here we are, 2020. This movie is in the hands of Marvel Studios. We'll see if they can finally give us a Fantastic Four that will feel endearing, but also certainly hit the mark. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, I thought that was a really great insight from Entertainment Weekly this week to give us some better look at who these characters really are. Sam says it's crazy that Ebon got two characters in the MCU, the Thing and also Micro in the Punisher. Yeah, pretty neat.
Yeah, I can't remember. I made like a joke about it or something, like where I'm like, oh, if the Punisher ever crosses over, he needs to make a joke of, whoa, what happened to you, Micro?
You've changed, buddy. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on the Fantastic Four, some of the new photos and insight. Did I use up all the photos? I think there might have been. There was another one of the group in their spacesuits here too. If anything, Stu, I think if there's anything that has thrown me off that I'm still waiting to see is they have been very secretive about a Reed Richards power set. We have yet to see that. We've seen the Human Torch go flame on. We've seen Invisible Woman use some of her powers a tiny bit. We've seen the Thing running in here, and what he physically looks like. We have yet to see Reed stretch. I'm curious if that's going to come in the next trailer that we wind up getting, or if they're really going to try and hold off on that until the movies. You think there's a reason for that, or do you think it's because it's so highly expected that they're trying to hold off on it, or do you think there's other issues with it?
I think it's like one of two things. One, they want to wait for the next trailer to really show it off, or two, they're still working on the VFX at the moment.
Trying to keep things clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, because I feel like, most of the VFX that we see in trailers aren't like completely polished, and most of the time you don't notice because they're only on screen for like a half a second. But I feel like with stretchy arms, like if it's not polished, people are going to call it out, and then they're going to have to be like, we swear we're still working on it. This is not the final product, guys. And I think it's just like a whole hassle that they didn't want to go through.
Yeah, I think you might be right, because I think if there's going to be two big things that are judged in this movie, it's going to be the Thing and it's going to be Mr. Fantastic and his stretching ability. And so maybe they're trying to hold off on just knowing that there's going to be people that are going to be like, oh, this looks trash. Like I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they know they're going to get criticism for it regardless of how good or bad it looks. So maybe you hold off on that for as long as you can. But we'll see. I think it has to do with trying to clean up the visuals as much as possible, though. All right, guys. But yeah, let us know your thoughts on the Fantastic Four movie and some of the new insights. Chicken on Six says, I assume getting the visuals as perfect as possible. Anything less, they know fans will complain. Yeah, I think it's about cleaning up the visuals. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stu, we will move on to our next topic here as we visit the world of Dune. Dune is back in the news. After we got the second Dune movie, we were under the impression, at least Danny Villeneuve certainly was, that he would take a couple of years away from the franchise before deciding to kind of come back and do Dune 3 or Dune Messiah. But Warner Brothers just continued to see not only how much money Dune 2 made, but also its Oscar recognition, and said, no, we need to do a Dune 3 now. And Denis Villeneuve and them are back at it once again, as casting has continued to pick up for the upcoming Dune 3, or I should say Dune Messiah movie. I don't know exactly when filming is certainly expected to begin, but Stuart, this week we do have ourselves a big casting announcement here, and this is going to be coming to us from the form of Deadline.com, as Robert Pattinson is circling the movie for a new role. It says Dune 3 legendary circling Robert Pattinson for a new role in the upcoming installment. Robert Pattinson could, in fact, be joining this franchise, Stuart. We'll see how it turns out, but it says, according to them, even as Denis Villeneuve puts the finishing touches on the script for the next installment in the Dune franchise, the director already has his eyes set on a new addition to the all-star ensemble. While sources close to the project say no formal offer has been presented, Deadline is hearing there's a strong interest in Robert Pattinson joining the cast. Legendary has no comment at this moment, while confirmed sources say Pattinson would play the villain role Skytail, or at least I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Scytale, or maybe Scytail, maybe Scytail, I don't know. As Deadline previously reported, the plan is to shoot the film this summer. Denis Villeneuve is set to return to direct. So again, no offer has been made, but it does certainly seem as though Denis Villeneuve has his eyes set on Robert Pattinson to play the villain for Dune 3. Interesting stuff here. Stuart, you're the big Dune guy. How do you feel about this, man?
I want to call myself a Dune guy. I just watched the movies. I haven't read
the books or anything.
Yeah. But after Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson has become one of my favorite actors. So I think him playing, and this is supposed to be a villain role, I believe. So I think that's a really cool idea. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for it now, trying to see if I can get anything more out of who this character is. But yeah, I think like the most surprising thing about this is because I was kind of like on the same page as you. I thought it was gonna be at least a couple of years before we had any updates of the next Dune movie. But man, Warner Brothers is really trying to get all their money's worth from this, which I just hope they don't like kind of burn themselves out on it, or burn, the fans out on it too early. I hope, just because they're rushing these into production, they still have like a overall, they have people working on it that know what they're doing, and not like just trying to rush it into production and doing a half-ass project in the in the process. But yeah, Robert Pattinson, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, I am a big fan of Robert Pattinson. I certainly have always been a big fan of Robert Pattinson. Even from before his time becoming the Batman, when they announced him, I thought it was a really good choice in that regards. If you had at least kept up with any of his indie stuff, but now that he's kind of come back into the limelight, I think people are continuing to recognize he's a lot more than just a Twilight guy. Like his range is really good. He fits certain roles incredibly well, and I think has certainly proven himself. While I wasn't necessarily a big fan of Mickey 17, I thought his performance really shined. I was really impressed with him in that particular movie. But I am excited for this. Again, the reason why I call you the Dune guy, Stuart, is because you have seen all the Dune movies. I have barely gotten through the first Dune. So it's something I'm going to continue to try and work on eventually. But I would say this too. The idea that Warner Brothers is rushing production into Dune 3, one of the things that jumps to mind is like, maybe their recent slate of films haven't necessarily done too well for them. Although I do think this year they're about to rake in a ton of money with I think some of the movies that they do have. But I feel like the last year financially, they haven't necessarily gotten the return that they hoped for. So I do wonder if they're thinking to themselves, we need another Dune. We need another successful movie, whether that be for Pam Abdi and Michael DeLuca to feel like we need to keep our jobs. So let's go ahead and like, put this other movie into production. Um, the fact that Denis Villeneuve is still working on the script doesn't concern me so much, just because he clearly seems to know this world and he's got his finger on the pulse in regards to really creating this world. So I think this is almost just like business as usual for him. And considering just how good the last two Dune movies have been, or so I've heard, with the Oscar recognition that they've gotten, I do think that they have a pretty good team around them. Now, I haven't read the Dune Messiah book, so I don't know what the story is. How do you adapt that sort of thing? But it never hurts to add talent to a film in order to make it better. I mean, they already have great A-list people attached to Dune 3, and now that potentially Robert Pattinson might be on board, I think is just adding to that in regards to, even if the script is semi-poor, at least you've got great talent to help elevate the script that you have. And so I definitely expect this movie to do just as well as the first two certainly did. If anything, though, Stuart, I think this does bring up the bigger question that I've seen some people kind of worried and concerned about. And that is, well, I thought Batman Part 2 was supposed to start filming this year. If Robert Pattinson does pick up this offer to film Dune this summer, will that interfere with the potential of the Batman Part 2 filming? To where I would say, and I believe I've heard Justin Kroll, the guy that did this, that wrote this article. I did see him on Twitter verify for people that it should not interfere with his filming for the Batman Part 2 if the filming for the Batman Part 2 still stays on schedule to film sometime later on in 2025. Would you expect the filming for Dune in the summertime to ruin that for him later on in the year?
I doubt it. Mostly because I don't think Robert Pattinson doesn't do a lot of TV roles, and I feel like for actors, that's what'll really take up a schedule when it comes to kind of a movie filming schedule, especially because they're both filmed by Warner Brothers, which means you have the people working on the schedules that can easily communicate with each other, and there's no like they're it's a win for both if both movies succeed. So I feel like they're going to want to make sure that like Robert Pattinson can do both without burning himself out. So I don't think it would be an issue at all. For the most part, the only thing is that if Robert Pattinson wanted to do another movie, a third movie that would be outside the studio, that would be where the challenge would come in, because then the studio would have to collaborate with the other studio on a schedule. And I don't know fully how it works, but I do know that, like, obviously, if you're working on two movies for the same studio, even if they're filming around the same time, it would be a lot easier to have flexibility in terms of scheduling. So I don't think it'll affect the Batman 2 at all in terms of like his filming schedule. I'd be surprised. Warner Brothers would have to be really poorly managed for this to actually affect Robert Pattinson's filming schedule, to my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more likely reason that the Batman doesn't film in 2025 is just dependent on how far along the script for the movie is. If Matt Reeves is going to deliver the script on time, or if that gets pushed into early 2026. But outside of that, I don't expect it to take up a chunk of his time, Robert Pattinson's schedule. I mean, if they're looking to film in the summer, I don't know if that means July. I don't know if that means August, but I don't expect him to be on set any longer than maybe 2 months, three tops. I mean, I feel like even 3 months. I don't know how big of a role he's going to be playing or how many scenes that he's going to be in, but the idea of filming 2 to 3 months, I almost feel is normal. Maybe 3 months might be even too long of a time. I have no idea. But even if we're talking about that, I mean, you were looking at what, like November, maybe October, November, December, to be available for the Batman, if that's the time period that they trying to want to go to and begin filming by the end of 2025. So I think it's certainly more than enough time. I don't see Dune filming for him to take over like 6 months of his life type of thing. You know what I mean? Productions on filmers are certainly a lot smaller than they are for television series. So I think he definitely will have enough time. And I think you bring up a good point. The idea that they're both under Warner Brothers, I think Warner Brothers would like figure out a way to help schedule his filming. And maybe it's one thing of like, hey, you go to this lot on this day, and then the next day you film some Batman stuff and go back and forth. I'm sure they would figure it out, but I don't think Robert Pattinson's schedule would interfere with the Batman so much as Matt Reeves having the script ready in time.
Though I'm going to say, if I was in Robert Pattinson's shoes, I could see myself being the kind of person that forgets what film he's working on. So I show up to the Dune set in my Batman suit like, oh, crap, wrong outfit.
Let's see here. Marcelino says the original 1984 Dune was terrible. It's worse if you love the books. So hopefully Robert Pattinson can rectify the mistake of the character back in 1984.
I don't think the 1984 movie was terrible. It's not a good movie, don't get me wrong, but it's got its charms here and there. And I mean, it's kind of fun seeing early, like, young Patrick Stewart, and then it's so funny how some of the visual effects in the movie range from looking absolutely incredible to looking so cheap, like it almost feels like a parody.
Oh, is that bad? Yeah, I haven't. My dad is a big Dune guy. He might have tried to have me read the books when I was younger, or even watch the movie, but yeah, it just didn't work for me. But yeah, hopefully I can get through these movies one day, man. I'll get back to you once I actually finally watch Dune. I'll let you know. All right, guys, and with that out of the way, Stuart, we will move on to our next topic here. As Stuart, this is one of your highly anticipated top 5 movies of 2025 that we're going to talk about next, and that's going to be How to Train Your Dragon, set to come out June 13th. I've been hearing nothing but great things about this movie, Stuart. Ever since we had CinemaCon a couple weeks back, they had the opportunity to show How to Train Your Dragon to movie theaters and people in attendance, and people were just gushing about this movie all week long, talking about bring your tissues, the emotional beats, how riveting it is, the incredible music score, talking about it being one of the true best adaptions from animation to live action that they've certainly have ever seen. And this week, Stuart, we got ourselves a Collider article that had the opportunity to sit down with Gerard Butler and mostly the director Dean DeBlouse to talk about bringing this this movie to life, and I'm really eager to kind of get some of your thoughts on this. Looking back, I gotta say, Stuart, when we did our breakdown for top 5 movies of 2025, this is definitely a movie I'm kind of regretting not having on my list, because I know how highly anticipated I certainly am for this film, but I also wanted to add some like original movies in there on my list that I am highly anticipating and looking forward to. But man, the more and more that I hear about this movie, I'm thinking to myself, I really should have put this on my damn list, Stuart, in my top 5 at least. But let's go ahead and dive into this, man. How to Train Your Dragon takes us back to Burke with Gerard Butler and Dean DeBlouse. They also have a brand new image that I'll go ahead and bring up for you guys. One of the movie's returning stars from the beloved animated classic, Gerard Butler, couldn't hold back his pride as he told Collider. Let me go ahead and bring up this new image too of him. This is an exclusive image. He says, it has been a huge piece of my heart to be part of this franchise. This time, instead of stepping into the recording booth, I stepped into Stoic's boots, strapped on his armor, and put his helmet on my head, and it literally entered the world of Burke. I cannot wait for audiences around the world to get swept up in this heartwarming, hilarious, and thrilling adventure. He says it's Yeah, I'll get into more of this in a second. But first, just looking at the image, Stuart. I mean, the attention to detail is crazy. I'm absolutely loving the set design pieces. Whoever the costume designer was for this, really bringing these Vikings and just the world of animation to life in here. I mean, the attention to detail is just absolutely ridiculous. But he looks great as Stoic. I'm so glad that he came back for this movie, specifically because I think it's just really important to have a veteran on set with you. Looking at the cast and stuff, while we got Nico Parker, I'm not really too familiar with a lot of the other younger younger actors on board here, but to have somebody that was attached to the animated film, bringing back the classic voice, understands who this character is, but also just having a veteran presence on set, I think just really goes a long way in the sense of being able to get the professionalism and sort of the best out of the other people that were around you. Because I'm pretty sure if I'm one of those young actors and I've got Gerard Butler across from me, you damn sure make sure I want to make have like one of the best performances that I can, certainly working opposite of this man and seeing what he's able to do from just a professional standpoint. I think is really brilliant, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he tackles this role, Stuart.
Yeah, just from like I said, like kind of when we've talked about this movie in the past, just the visuals alone have been what really hooks me. It doesn't it's funny because like I've been talking so much crap about all the live action Disney remakes, and it's really just because like Disney remakes always just find themselves in this half-ass like kind of in between where like they want to stick to the source material, but they also want to change things up because they want to quote unquote modernize it. So they change things about the script in order to either pad out the movie or because maybe the director has a creative idea that they want to put into. But the problem is like when you change like small things in a movie that's like meant to be really short and to the point where every scene kind of matters, you end up kind of ruining the overall arc of the characters. If I try to give like a big example, like Aladdin's like the big example I can get that's like really fast, where basically I think because the way they structured the beginning of the movie, it completely ruined like Aladdin's overall character arc of where we see him like kind of journeying from a guy who gets like looked down at as a street rat, but he clearly has a heart of gold, to suddenly letting the power corrupt him and then becoming the same guy he was in the beginning, heart of gold, but this time he's like a sultan now. Whereas like in the movie they don't really show him with the heart of gold as much as they did in the animated movie, so it makes his arc just like not as interesting. And I feel like that's the problem with every Disney live action movie, is they change just enough to make it so it's like the arcs for all the characters just don't flow as well as they did in the original movies. And it'd be fine if they were changing them completely. I think it works with Maleficent, it works with Cruella, when they're just completely different movies, zero relation to the original. But when they're in this half-ass in between, it just doesn't work. But I'm looking at How to Train Your Dragon, and at the very least, it looks like they're committing to just being a faithful adaptation of the original animated movie. And even if they do change some stuff up, the fact that they have the original director like working on this, it kind of makes me think that if anything's changing, there's going to be a purpose for it, and they're not just changing it for the sake of changing it. It's changing it because either they want to make the story better, or because they actually or because like maybe there's like a new angle they want to give us in this world. So it feels like they're going with a much more faithful adaptation than most of what we gotten from the live action Disney movies. And also just live action Disney movies, not saying they don't use practical sets, they do, of course. It's just that a lot of times those practical sets are filled with a lot of blue screens, whereas like I look at How to Train Your Dragon, and a lot of the sets that we see, not only do they look practical, but it looks like they're not relying too much on post-production like enhancements to make it look even bigger. It looks like they're just giving you what you see on the camera and maybe doing some enhancements here and there, but it's not like not to the extent of what you get in like live action Disney remakes.
I also wanted to add to this Gerard Butler here, because the director does talk about Gerard a little bit. He says, well, Gerard Butler has a certain physique that is not entirely congruous with Stoic the Vast, and so it's sort of beefing up his silhouette and giving him all those cues like a big square, woolen rug of a cape. Which when they announced him, I was thinking to myself, like, I expected somebody a little bit like thicker, like
Mhm.
somebody that like really has this presence about him to play stoic. But you can see, like, just based off of this image alone, just really what Dean DeBlouse was talking about, of having to kind of build up his physique, if you will, to beef up his silhouette, it says, and giving him those cues like a big square woolen rug of a cape. He says the under costume expands his shape and gives him all of that mass in all the right places. It starts with the design, of course, but then lots of trial and error with building of the costume itself and trying to make it as flexible and wearable as possible, because it is, as he says, quite heavy. And it could have been much more had we not really put the thought into where can we lighten the load, but give him all of that room to act as well. You don't want to encumber the actor at the same time. They not only need to look the part, they need to be able to act the part. Having him feel authentically like a Viking chief is a big part of the conversation. So, working with Lindsay Pugh and her very, very talented group of costume designers and builders and watching them work their magic was really educational for me, because it goes far beyond coming up with the cool design and having our CG characters walk around. We want to make the costumes that people want to cosplay. So, how do you make it really cool, inspiring, so that people want to inhabit that world and wear clothing like those characters? I think it makes a great point in here, to be able to have that balance, but also I think stay true to who these characters certainly are, and allowing your actor to be able to have that flexibility. The idea that they're keeping in mind cosplayers, I think is really cool too, in a sense that they know that they're about to make this world really rich when they bring it to live action, and they expect, with this having such an impact on pop culture in some way, that people are going to cosplay some of these characters, so why not give them something to really aim for? I think is really telling. But I can honestly listen to Dean DeBlouse talk about this movie forever. I feel like he has a passion for it so much that really comes through when he's trying to articulate his thoughts about how he made this film, honestly. He also goes on to
Oh,
talk a little.
and then I also just want to point out, like,
Yeah,
just
go
with
ahead.
the costume, because they talked about how they wanted to, bring out stoic from the cartoon, but didn't want it to look like too over the top for live action. Because obviously, if you tried to like make it look directly like a cartoon, it would look silly. I think this is the perfect balance that they chose. Like, he still has that intimidating presence thanks to the fur coats that he's wearing. He still has that big presence to him, but it doesn't look silly like it would have if they tried to directly make him look like the cartoon.
He also talks a little bit about the casting for the film. He says, further elaborating on the casting project, the Blouse said Astrid is a good example because she doesn't look like her animated counterpart necessarily, but she was the only actress who came in that could deliver dialogue that I'd written, which was quite harsh, directed towards Hiccup. But she managed to do it in a way that felt more like a sports team coach than anything else. So she held herself to a high standard and she expected the same of her fellow team players. And it just made for a really great dynamic without being mean spirited. Um, oh, I lost it. So even though there were people who would come in who looked like their animated counterparts, they weren't always the right choice. I think more importantly, I was trying to keep my mind focused on what the spirit of the character is, knowing that we were taking some liberties in this interpretation. It allowed for departures from those animated counterparts, and I like that. I thought it was, again, a really educational process. And Dean, I think this is important too, because Dean has talked about the idea that, like, this isn't a shot for shot remake of How to Train Your Dragon, which is interesting. I feel like this is like How to Train Your Dragon, like three different interpretations of it. We've had the book, and then we had the book interpreted into an animated film, which I'm sure some things were a little bit different from the book in the animated movie. And now they're taking the animated film, making it into live action, and there are things that aren't quite from the animated film in the live action. The idea that when he says, in this interpretation, he has talked about the idea of building off of some of those animated scenes that they couldn't quite do in the movie, but that they can do sort of in live action. And I think that this is going to heighten sort of like the emotional stakes, more of the character building between these characters. So this is not a shot for shot from the movie. They are having aspects of this in which they build off of, which I think is really brilliant on that part to allow it to make it feel a little bit more fresh. But the Astrid casting really took a hit very early on. But I love what he's saying here. And as look, I've never made a film in my life, Stuart. Okay, but if I am trying to make a movie and I have a script, I want the person that is going to help elevate my script to the highest level. People can come in and look like the person all they want to, but if they're not hitting the dialogue, if they're not having the chemistry that I need them to have, as one of the co-leads in here to the main lead character that's going to drive this movie, if they don't have that level of chemistry, it would be a disservice for me as a filmmaker to go with the person that just looks the part and doesn't do anything to elevate the story, than to actually go with the person that's doing the job that I need them to do and elevating the character and bringing more spirit to the film than anything else. And I love the fact that Dean DeBlouse can kind of get away from that and understand he needs to make the best movie possible. And Nico Parker, for him, was that particular person to do it. I haven't seen the film, so I don't know how Nico Parker actually performs in this role. But I can completely understand his mindset in the sense of she just tackled this character like nobody else that came through in the casting was capable of. And it's okay to sometimes say this person was just simply better than the other person. Better luck next time, the people in that went through casting. But I do love his mindset and how he approaches casting some of these characters.
Yeah, definitely agree.
He says the live action looks to expand on the story. He says parts of that is the mythology of the story is expanding from the animated movies, and we wanted to explain why this particular tribe came together and why they landed on that island. So in order to increase the urgency and deepen the mythology, we thought the Vikings, having traveled far and wide, gathered the best dragon fighters from all sorts of cultures that they had interacted with to eliminate a common enemy, which is dragons being a problem everywhere. I'm trying to see if there's any more to this article. Though he's been to Burke himself shooting the movie, the boys hasn't yet visited the new How to Train Your Dragon land at Universal's Epic Universe. I didn't know they were even having a How to Train Your Dragon world. That's pretty dope, though. But yeah, man, I love everything that he's certainly saying about this. I'm looking forward to this movie more and more each time I hear him talk about it, and seeing new things coming out of this movie, Stuart. I'm really hyped. Has this, even though I can't remember what number this was on your most anticipated movies, but has it moved up your ranks at all? Thinking back to it.
Hard to say because I actually don't remember where I ranked this. If it was an honorable mention, then I say move it up to number 5 on my list. If it was already on my list, I think it's in the perfect spot. But yeah, I think I'm just as hyped for this as I have been. Last thing I'll say about it is that, like, I do think this movie is a cash grab, of course, but I also think, it's a studio cash grab. The studio was going to make a How to Train Your Dragon movie, regardless of if the original director was going to come back or not. So the fact that we got the original director coming back, and the fact that they're putting all this effort into this cash grab, it means that sure, it's a cash grab, but that doesn't mean it can't be something really unique and something awesome. So, I think that's like where my overall hype comes from, is that it's a cash grab with a lot of passion and a lot of money, as you can clearly see from those really amazing set designs.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Indy in the chat. He says, "Guess who's back next week?"
Awesome.
So listen, we might have Indy back next week. We may not even have a live show next week. We'll see. Just because we got Easter Sunday. But we'll keep you posted, guys. We'll keep you posted if we do or not. Darth, I always call him Garth. Darth. So the franchise How to Train Your Dragon is popular. He says, obviously I've heard of it, but not familiar with it at all.
Ooh. I
So
recommend it. Yeah, the I think it's a very solid trilogy. The third one's like just okay, I think for the most part, but it wasn't bad. But the first two are freaking amazing. The second one makes me cry, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's a certain scene in the movie that just gives me a teary eye every time.
yeah, I'm trying. I don't. Yeah, I think the third one was just okay, but the first one always freaking gets me, and I did enjoy the second one for sure. Chicken on a Stick says, yeah, there are three movies, all are good. Yeah, I highly recommend them. Darth, if you haven't had the opportunity to check them out yet, do yourselves a favor, man. I think you'll have a fun time with them for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon, the live action adaptation, as Dean DeBlos talks a little bit more about bringing these characters to life. With that, Stuart, let's move on to our next topic. Oh, first off, real quick, before we move on, look, if you guys are watching us live, wherever you're watching us live from, whether that be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, do us a big favor, man. Hit that like button. It does go a long way in helping boost our algorithm, let people know that we are currently live right now, having some great topics. But yeah, we certainly appreciate it. It only takes 1 second out of your time. Hit that like button, man. It does really go a long way. But with that out of the way, Stuart, let's move on to the next segment or our next topic of the day. And man, I got to tell you, this was probably some of the coolest news I had personally seen all week. The Predator franchise is back in the news this week. Ever since Prey wound up dropping a couple of years ago back on Hulu, we've had this feeling that franchises like Predator and Alien were about to do a lot of new, fresh, and creative things. And we know that behind the scenes, when it comes to the Predator franchise, Dan Trachtenberg, who was the director for Prey, has been working meticulously behind the scenes, as it seems as though they've given this man the keys to the city in regards to just being very creative and coming up with new, fresh ideas and new projects. As not only are we getting ourselves a live action Predator film called Predator Badlands, set to go ahead and drop, I believe, sometime this year, Stuart, if I'm not mistaken. But we had heard rumblings that there was a secret project certainly in the works that we were very much unaware of. But this week, unaware no more, Stuart, as they in fact revealed to us the very first animated film from the Predator franchise titled Predator Killer of Killers. That's right. You heard this right. The very first animated film coming out of the Predator franchise from the director of Prey. Dan Trachtenberg has been working on this film in secret. And they went ahead and dropped a brand new poster and a trailer earlier this week also. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to check it out, the trailer is up on our Facebook page as of right now. Certainly check it out for yourself. But this is set to go ahead and drop June 6th on Hulu. This is ready to go. This is not a case of it's in production now or they're working on it. No, this is ready to go. June 6th on Hulu. This was the poster that they wind up dropping this week with it. And we've got ourselves an article that highlights it as Dan Trachtenberg gives us some insight in regards to the upcoming animated film. It says Predator's Dan Trachtenberg talks Killer of Killers, Stuart. First off, have you checked out the trailer?
I have indeed, and
Let's
first thing
yeah,
that
let's talk
caught
about it.
me off guard, I didn't know this was going to be animated because we talked about like the two Predator movies that were in development before. I had no idea this one was one going to be animated and two an anthology on top of that. So we get to like kind of explore different time periods like all at once. And yeah, I guess we'll talk more about it as you read the article. But like, man, this I was already expecting this to be kind of a cool project. I did not expect it to be this though.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know I know the insider Jeff Schneider had been talking a little bit about a secret project sort of thing. So I am interested. I am glad to see that this kind of came together. But the idea of an animated film, I think, is a really brilliant route for them to go. Again, one of the things I said, it feels very fresh to me. What did you think about the trailer in general, though?
I thought the trailer looked really cool. I love the different designs that we get for different predators, which is something we've seen throughout all the different predator movies. Is like how some can look bigger than others. I love that we explore many different time periods and all the different times that they've visited Earth, which kind of makes me wonder how in the predator movies that take place in modern times, how do we not know about their existence? I feel like if the same group of aliens visit the same planet over and over, it's eventually going to be impossible for that to stay a secret. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe we have been visited by aliens this whole time, and we still don't know about it. Who knows? I'm kidding. I'm not a crazy government government conspiracy theorist. I swear. But that being said, though. Yeah, no, I do think this, again, it's a unique direction to take the franchise, especially because the last few theatrical releases haven't been doing as, numbers wise what they've been wanting. And then I know that like the last theatrical film, not Prey, but the one that was released in theaters, that one got like critically like panned completely. Like a lot of people were not a big fan of that. And I think it's just because the franchise when that movie came out was just at this point where they just didn't know where to take it. So I think this is a great starting point, a great way to get to like put a bunch of different ideas out there, see which ones fans connect to the most, and then you could like literally just start like a whole franchise from there. Whichever one of these anthology shorts tends to get the most positive reactions.
Yeah, I do like the idea that they're not just putting all their um putting everything into one thing, like we're just going to focus on movies. The fact that they are tackling this in the concept of an animated film, I think is really smart to sort of diversify this franchise a little bit more and see like what really hits with people. But let's go ahead and dive into this article here. It says not only did Trachtenberg helm Predator Badlands, but he also directed Predator Killer of Killers, an animated anthology that depicts the ferocious figure in different points in human history. He says, I had three very cool ideas. One of them, the first one, the one I was most excited about, was Badlands. But then there was this other thing, which was Prey. That was really cool. Trachtenberg really recently shared at a press event, a comic book attended. He says, we got to put the Predator in these different time periods and tell that story. I think I think the thing that made Prey special, though, wasn't just Predator in a different time period. It was the story that we were telling was made better by the story of the Predator. And I didn't want to just throw them into a different time period. I really wanted to figure out if we were to do that kind of thing again, how could it be special? And what's the kind of story we could tell that could be equally badass and awesome, but also emotional and thematic and character oriented? He continued, he says, in thinking about different time periods, I honed in on the idea, what if we made an animated movie where we can express ourselves in a way that we don't get to see? We've now had all these Predator movies, and we're doing this one that's crazy different, but still with all the stuff. The other side of the coin that I love in Predator movies is that it's a hard R, crazy carnage. Wouldn't it be cool if we see that in a different medium? So we made this movie, Killer of Killers, at that exact time, stupidly but awesomely. And I think he goes on to say a little bit more, but one of the things that I said when I did my review of Killer of Killers was just how unapologetically violent it was. Like some of the kills in the trailer alone look pretty epic when he chucks the spear and it slams the guy up against the wall, and then he twists the spear and it like activates a mechanism to literally cut the dude in half, sort of thing. Just absolutely violent. The World War II section where you've got the Predator ship that throws like this grappling hook through the dude's plane, and then it like impales the pilot and hooks onto him and rips him out of the plane. I mean, just brutal, brutal deaths that I think one would be kind of hard and cost consuming to do in live action. But the fact that they're unapologetically violent in animation, I think it looked brilliant and so cool, man. So I cannot wait to see what this looks like. While there's a wealth of potential of what can be done in animated realm, Trachtenberg confirmed that the new movie wasn't meant to merely set the stage for follow-up projects. He says when asked if there were more ideas for animated movie, the filmmaker confirmed, certainly, I'm sure you guys see a cool movie and say, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if?" That thinking doesn't turn off for me. So there's tons of cool things. We'll see if we get to make it. People have to like it, but it certainly wasn't made. I guess the thing that we're always trying to say is it's not made to feel like it's just act one of something larger. I think that's what we all mean when we say Christopher Nolan would always say to make it as if it's the only one. It's really because you don't want to feel like you shortchanged by the experience and it was incomplete. These are very much for me. Um, these are very much for me. I won't sleep at night if I don't feel like I really communicated with exactly all that I wanted to with both of these movies. So we're really throwing all of our heart out there. And I love to hear that. I really love to hear that in the sense of like he's really focused on just making sort of the best movie that he could make. That's not relying on the idea of like, oh man, I hope we get this sequel because if we don't get this sequel, I can't finish the story that I certainly want to tell. The ability to know that you only have one shot, one opportunity to make this thing work, and so to focus all your energy into making a complete story and a complete movie with the beginning, middle, and end, I think is a brilliant mindset to certainly have. And if people love it, then you leave yourself open to being able to build off of that film if you want to and wind up making a sequel. So I really love the mindset that Dan Trachtenberg is in here. The fact that, first off, the fact that he says, I have three great ideas that I want to make, and Prey was the second one on that list. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, man. Like, Predator Badlands is truly like the gem that you really wanted to make. First off, I think that just boosts my anticipation level for Predator Badlands, just the concept and the creativity that went into Prey times two to go ahead and go into Badlands. If that's his true project that he was really excited to make even more, I think this just boosts my anticipation level for Badlands at this moment. But and he even points out like we've had all these movies from Predator and we're just now making an animated film. Like the fact that this is a corner in a different medium that we can kind of express ourselves in that hasn't kind of been explored before, I think shows bold and creative decisions. And kudos to the studio for allowing him to kind of do this and like, find his level um eagerness sort of infectious enough to be like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna roll with you on this one, Dan, and give him that sort of that creative freedom to tell the stories that he wants to tell. And one of the things that I also said was like, regardless of what the quality is for all these projects, I think that this is certainly inspiring for Predator in the sense of being able to take sort of creative risks. I hope that they're great, but I also do love the idea that they are going outside of the box. And after all these decades, making Predator feel fresh and welcoming for people that maybe have never watched a Predator movie or are new to the franchise to have new entry points into the franchise. And now, not only in streaming movies or live action, but now in animated form. And so I'm excited to see the stories that they get to tell in here, Stuart, for sure.
You and me both.
Any other follow-up thoughts on this or what?
Ah, man, just yeah, everything gets me kind of excited, and I do love the enthusiasm that we get from the developer, from the director, and the same guy that worked on Prey, which I thought Prey was a phenomenal Predator movie. So my hopes for this are pretty high. I don't want to say I have high expectations, but I think that overall, like everything I'm seeing, looks like it's just going to be fun regardless. It's cool that we got like another Predator movie also coming out to theaters as well, along with another Alien TV show coming to Hulu. It feels like the franchise is like for both are like starting to make a really awesome epic comeback.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, man. I have a lot of hopes for both these franchises right now. Darth says I'm stoked for Predator Badlands. Yeah. I'm hoping we get to see a trailer soon, man. I know they got a trailer or a tease of it at CinemaCon. I don't know when the release date for Predator Badlands is, but I am looking very forward to it for sure. He says, I'll be watching Killer of Killers, but I don't like the animation style. I have heard people talk about the animation style a little bit in here. Um, I don't know why when I look at the animation style, I get vibes of Arcane from Netflix a little bit. Although I think that Arcane, I'm a big fan of the Arcane style. But what other influence do you get any other influences, Stuart, when you see this animation? How do you feel about the animation?
Um, Hang on. Sorry, I'm just gonna bring it up again because I remember liking it, but I couldn't. Let me just because I think the animation looked really good from what I remember. Just bringing it up in the background now, so I can. Yeah, okay, I can now get a better visual of it. Yeah, from what I can kind of see, it definitely reminds me of the Netflix show. Even though I haven't seen it yet, I hear so many good things about Arcane, and it kind of reminds me of that. It also does kind of the I don't know how do you describe it, like the fidgety kind of movement that you get from like kind of the Spider Verse to give it kind of a comic booky
Oh,
feel to it.
uh-huh. I get you.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me actually of a mixture of Arcane and then the Walking Dead video games from Telltale.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good comparison. Chicken on the Stick says Prey was a great refresher for the franchise. I look forward to this animation project. I do too. And you mentioned, Stuart, too, about the different designs for the predators. I kind of dug some of the predator designs. You got like one that's really hulking. You got one that seems like he's like the skinny, stealthy one that might be the one to take on some of the samurais in here too. Yeah, I do love the different body styles that they're trying to create for Predator. Like not all predators are created equal. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see. Like, I wonder if they visit their. Yeah, I know these are going to be like three different eras. One focusing on Vikings, one on the samurai, along with one on the World War II era. You know, I guess this just shows like the home planet of Predator, which I don't think is going to be highlighted in this movie, in this animated film. But like, the species definitely has different, different character designs for sure.
Mhm. I do wonder, like, the like motivation for like I guess you could say it's like with the World War II one I totally get because when you kind of like find yourself in the middle of a war between two parties and then you're hunting people not really taking a specific side, I feel like that's where the hunt comes in for that. But I'm kind of curious with the other two eras, because if they use, I'm going to be a little disappointed if they use like technology while fighting both the samurai and the Vikings, because it's like, nah, man, the
Kind of
Predators,
unfair.
yeah, I feel like it's more of a thing for the Predators to want to fight on like somewhat even ground, because like in the first Predator movie, he doesn't go after the people who aren't armed, he goes right after the people who are armed because he wants like a sport base, he wants it to be like a sport. So I hope that they keep that kind of going in the animated movies. Like I hope that we see him using weapons like technology when he's fighting against like some of the World War II soldiers, which makes total sense, tech versus tech. But I hope he doesn't. I hope the Predators don't use that when they're going up against Samurai and Viking.
Shout out to Bug here, also Bug Hollow Gang. Thank you so much for certainly coming through, Bug. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to the first animated film in the Predator franchise, anthology film, I should certainly say, called Killer of Killers. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. And with that out of the way, Stuart, we will get into our next topic here, as it looks as though we've got an upcoming classic, rejuvenated, if you will, a little cult following from back in the day, as I Know What You Did Last Summer is back in the news. This film is set to go ahead and drop July 18th. This is a sequel to the previous I Know What You Did Last Summer films, or I would assume this is also a prequel or a sequel to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, just continuing along with that franchise. But this week we wind up getting an article from People magazine that had the opportunity to talk to Jennifer Love Hewitt in regards to the upcoming film itself. I can't remember how far apart Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer were from like release time periods, but I feel like they were kind of in the same bag when they were in fact released. Because I felt like if you grew up during this time period, those were like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream were like the two big influential horror films during that time. And I remember seeing this movie in theaters, man. And I want to say I saw the sequel also, maybe not as memorable, but I Know What You Did Last Summer always had a cool place in my heart. And I'm kind of excited to kind of go back and see what they're gonna do here. Did you look up the release dates?
Yeah, so Scream was 96. I Know What You Did Last Summer was 97.
Yeah, so they're like
Um,
right back to back. So I just remember this being like an era for like horror films that I grew up in. That I remember like, yeah, I can go to the movie theaters and see these films. Like this was like my horror genre
mm.
from my generation.
I so like I saw Scream, as a really young kid. One of the few horror movies my parents were okay with me watching because there was just nothing, especially because it was the TV version. So I think they even like it was rated TV PG, honestly. Um, but yeah, so like Scream, I'd seen like so many times as a kid. But then my first exposure to to I Know What You Did Last Summer was weirdly enough Scary Movie, and I didn't
Ah,
realize that it was a parody of How I Know What You Did Last Summer as well as Scream. I thought it was just a parody of Scream, and all the other jokes that reference how I Know What You Did Last Summer were just random jokes that they put in just for the fun of it. So when I watched I Know What You Did Last Summer for the first time, it was so hard for me to take it seriously, not because it was poorly written, but because all the scenes that were parodied in Scary Movie, every time I watched them, because my first association with those scenes were from Scary Movie, they just came off as hilarious to me, even when it wasn't intentional. I'm
that's
sure
pretty
if I
funny.
saw it before Scary Movie, I would have been like, oh, I could take this seriously. But because I saw Scary Movie first, it's so hard for me to take I Know What You Did Last Summer seriously.
It ruined it for you, man. It ruined it for you.
It
Uh,
might have, honestly.
Um, it's a good article. This one came from People Magazine, people.com. They did have a couple of brand new images we'll follow up with, but it says it's been many summers since Jennifer Love Hewitt has last played Julie James, the good-hearted final girl who can't escape her past in the 1997 slasher. Revisiting one of her earliest and most iconic roles for the upcoming sequel, not a reboot, was very nerve-wracking, she admits. She says, I'll be super honest. I had total anxiety for 48 hours before filming because I was like, can I do this? Am I going to pull this off? It's a lot of pressure, is what she said. Hewitt, now 46, filmed the original shortly after turning 18, sharing scenes with Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Ryan Phillippe. I mean, look at that lineup, bro. She says, talking about the new cast, this cast is phenomenal. Who says it felt like a passing of the baton. It's for them to make it their own and for me to stand by like a proud mom and say, it's yours now. Take it and run with it and enjoy. It does give us a little bit of a synopsis on the film too. It says a synopsis for the film sets the stage for five friends inadvertently causing a deadly car accident and covering it up by making a pact to take the secret to the grave. A year later, someone seeks revenge while making it clear they know what they did last summer. Sound familiar? The newbies, though, learn this happened before and consult two survivors of the Southport massacre of 1997 for help. Wonders, who's 28, says the film gets scary, sexy, and campy as it leans into how young people are interacting with each other in the world today in the smartest and most satisfying way. When you get a group of young actors together, it can be a recipe for disaster sometimes, but everyone in this cast just brought it to the nth degree. We all got along so well. The chemistry between us was so fun and natural and seamless. It says the cast did do game nights, bar crawls, and attended concerts together before filming on location in Australia. Um, the writer director says they set out for balls to the walls fun in this modernized version, which embraces the absurdities. It is not a serious movie. It is a really fun popcorn summer event. She warns, though, the horror elements are ratcheted up to 100 in this. It's much more brutal. There's definitely more of a methodology to every kill in this movie, unlike the first. Um, and it says, which is kind of just him stalking them and then going after them. There's not a lot of gore or blood or violence in the first one. There certainly is in this one. Jennifer Love Hewitt says it's terrifying. She who doesn't count herself as a horror movie fan, since they often freak her out. But she talks a little bit about her reunion with Freddie Prinze Jr. in here also as well. But yeah, man, it's interesting. I guess for me, my worry, if I had one, Stuart, is just like how ridiculous is this movie gonna be? Like not ridiculous, but I guess with teenagers these days, I wonder like how annoyed am I gonna be annoyed by these kids? I'm certainly hoping that I'm not going to be, but if they are trying to modernize this, I am curious to see what their chemistry is certainly gonna be like. I mean, they talk about the absurdity of it all, dealing with it with when it comes to modern technology, how kids kind of interact. I just hope it's not annoyingly fun. I just hope it's not annoying and they really do stick true to its horror elements of this. Like I want to enjoy these characters, but I just hope that these characters don't come across as super annoying to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Or to an extent, like I do want some, because like if all the teenagers in the group are like characters that like all seem like, interesting or really cool that you're rooting for, I don't think that would be as interesting as if like you had
Right,
characters that you're meant to hate. So I hope,
right, yeah.
at least half the group were meant to hate them and they're annoying, but in the way that's intentional. But I am definitely with you in, I don't want to I don't want to have that kind of writing where the writers are writing the character as if we're supposed to cheer for them, but then they come off as annoying and it's unintentional. I'm with you there. I hope we do not get that.
Yeah, I hope we don't get that either. But yeah, just some further insight into I Know What You Did Last Summer. Some cool first look photos. I think for me, the one thing I am interested to see Jennifer Love Hewitt along with Freddie Prinze Jr. back together. I know that they are, I don't know how big a chunk of the movie that they're in, but I do dig the idea of a younger generation reaching out and trying to find people that survived from back in the day and have a story that certainly needs to be told. How big of a role Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. will have in here, that I don't know. Like, are they just kind of cameos to kind of help push the story forward for these characters, or do they play integral parts? Like, is this connected to the events of the past in some way, and like do both of their characters still have some sort of plot and story in here, or is this really more about sort of the new cast? And that is one of the things that I am kind of fascinated to see how they navigate in this film.
I hope, because I think it was done pretty well in both, or actually in mostly Scream 5, in terms of introducing new characters and still having the legacy characters playing an important role. So I hope that's kind of the similar direction that they go with it.
Yeah, I don't want them to just be cameos. I would be okay if this is mostly the younger characters, but that these two play a supporting role that's significant enough to help move this story forward. But we'll see how it turns out. Blossom says teenagers aren't like they used to be, boy. She says, I've worked with teens before, and the ones I've worked with are monsters, cranked up to 11. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, as long as they're not intentional, as long as they're not all intentionally annoying, I might be down for this one. Tony Robinson, what's up? Good to see you, Tony. Thank you so much for certainly coming through, man, today. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much for coming in today. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. What's your level of anticipation for I Know What You Did Last Summer? What are you guys looking forward to get out of this film? I appreciate the idea that they say, like, look, we're not taking this movie too seriously. This is going to be a popcorn summer flick. And that's kind of how I sort of viewed the first I Know What You Did Last Summer also. As long as I can get me a good scare, some good gore, decent story to kind of hold me and keep me entertained, that's really all I'm going to ask for this sequel, for sure. And then last but not least, Stuart, we got one last topic we're going to be diving into today as man, I feel like I have not talked about this movie in years, but I remember when this movie hit, it definitely took the world by storm. I feel like everybody was talking about it. It was like one of those films that come across like once in a generation in regards to like changing how you view a particular genre of movies. And for me, what it re-innovated and like revitalized was the martial arts films. And the movie we're about to talk about here today is in fact Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That gave a lot of great actors sort of a name here over in the US, that I think a lot of us continue to recognize and see in big time movies, but really kind of got their start in here. And I remember once this movie dropped, Stuart, I felt like every other martial arts film sort of tried to replicate Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in some way, whether that be some of the stunt work, the wire work for a lot of their kung fu stuff. I felt like this was like the floodgates open for people like a Jet Li, especially, to kind of come through with his form of martial arts and stuff. But I remember in college, I can't, I got to see what year this movie dropped, but I felt like this was a really big movie in college. I used to watch this movie almost on repeat years ago, but it's been quite some time since we've heard people really gushing about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But I thought it did wonders for revitalizing the martial arts genre for years to come after this. But we are revisiting that world, Stuart, not necessarily in the form of a sequel or reboot or anything, but this time around in the form of a television series. As the Deadline is reporting, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, a series is in the works from Amazon. Ronald D. Moore is going to be co-producing this as well. But yeah, it's coming back into the limelight after all these years. Prime Video is developing a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon based on the Crane Iron Pentology book series by Wang Dulu. The drama comes from writer, executive producer Jason Ning, who did Lucifer and The Brother's Son, along with executive producer Ron Moore. And Sony Pictures are both are under overall deals. Amidst stunning landscapes and spectacular action, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon follows Shu Lin and Mu Bai, two star-crossed warriors, as they struggle between forbidden love and the pull of modernity. I can't even pronounce it. I'm sorry. Caught between preserving their way of life or embracing a future together. It was famously adapted by Ang Lee into the Oscar-winning movie, which incorporated elements from other books in the Crane Iron series. I forgot that this was an Oscar-winning movie too, man. I mean, it had a huge impact when it was really well recognized. I remember people constantly talking about it and going to the movies. So the idea that I remember owning this DVD back in the day and constantly watching it, like it makes a lot of sense. It says the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon TV series originated a couple of years ago when Sony regained the rights to the books through a first look deal with Vertigo and tapped Ning to adapt it as part of an overall deal. Moore came on board last year after returning to Sony TV with a new overall deal. It is one of two major Sony IP-based TV series projects the Battlestar Galactica creator has boarded since joining the studio, along with God of War. Trying to see if it's Wang Dulu's 5 Crane Iron pentology novels published between 1938 and 1944 chronicle the struggles of 4 generations, a type of ancient Chinese warrior folk hero. So I had no idea originally that this was based off of a set of novels, but the fact that it's now being turned into a television series, I think that's really beneficial for this, Stuart. The idea of like being able to have um, content that you can adapt. I would have said four different books. Yeah, that's definitely a couple of series for sure. But what do you think about this news story, Stuart? Have you been a fan of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? Did you know that there were novels? How do you feel about the idea of them adapting this?
Never knew that the movie was based on a bunch of novels. Honestly, I just only knew of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon from the movie itself, and unfortunately, it has been quite a long time since I've seen it. Because I think I saw it like freshman year in high school, if I'm not mistaken, years ago when it was on TV. So I don't I don't remember this movie as much as I wish I did. So it's definitely a movie I got to go back to. But hearing that there's a show in development for this, I remember one of the things that worked really well about the movie was the wire fu action scenes. So
Yeah.
hoping, with Amazon, they tend to give their TV shows like really big budgets. So I just hope that that's something that carries over from the movie into the show as well. I also would love to see some of the cast from the original. Like obviously they would probably want to recast them in different roles, but it would be cool if they brought in some of the same cast members from the original movie into this new series, because I assume they're not going to be connected continuity wise. I assume it's a separate continuity, just a completely new adaptation. So if that's the case, they could totally bring in some of the other actors, give them different roles.
Yeah, I'm looking up some of the cast now. Um Yeah, I mean, Michelle Yeoh was in this. I remember this was like one of the first roles I recall Michelle Yeoh certainly being involved in. I would be completely on board if Michelle Yeoh came back in some capacity, even if she is maybe playing a different character. I think that would have certainly gone a really long way. Um, yeah, there's a couple characters I personally would actors I would certainly love to see kind of come back for this. But yeah, I was a really big fan of this. Just from an emotional standpoint, I love the story. Cinematically, from a cinematography and directing point of view, it was epic in scope, just beautiful to certainly watch. And then the action wasn't for action's sake only. I mean, it almost felt like every action piece um had a purpose to push the story forward, to have some sort of emotional impact and stakes for a lot of these characters kind of going forward. And it was just one of the smartest sort of martial arts films I had seen in a really long time. And I think really opened my eyes. And the fact that we are now having this kind of come full circle and seeing just where the martial arts genre has come ever since this movie, I'm all for it. I think the idea of them having uh, basing this off the novel, I think, is really smart. It does give you even more content to certainly utilize, whether it's like each book is developed into an entirety of a season. I don't know how big these novels are. Maybe you can stretch them out. Each book being 2 seasons would be nice. But again, I don't know how long these books are. But when it comes to Amazon, I do tend to trust them with their series. I feel like regardless if they're great or not, you can definitely feel the budget. You can definitely feel like the attention to detail that a lot of these shows are certainly putting towards their series. And Stuart, I just feel like every time that we talk about a brand new story or a big IP, Amazon's name makes its way into this. I feel like everything is being made on Amazon these days, whether that be through Amazon MGM Studios from a film perspective or a television show. It seems as though they have their eyes on really interesting IPs that they want to develop further. And I think this is a great opportunity for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because if anything, I know Amazon will put their money towards a great budget and making this series look as great as it possibly can. And I just hope that the cast that they get to portray these characters, hold up, because they have some really big shoes to fill in regards to the great performances from the original film. But I do think that Amazon could certainly bring on some more than talented actors to be in this. And I think also this probably will be on the backs of like the show Shogun, that was really heavily Emmy
Oh yeah.
nominated also, right? Like that got a lot of praise too. I think those were based off of a previous television series, but also a novel, if I'm not mistaken, too. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So, Amazon could look at this as an incredible opportunity to build off of the success of something like Shogun, and continue to keep something in that particular time period, perhaps. But I'm excited for this. I think this is a great pickup for Amazon in general. So yeah, we'll see.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Shogun was like kind of Amazon's main inspiration for wanting to go forward with the show.
Oh, say that again, Stuart. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said I wouldn't be surprised if Shogun was like the main inspiration for Amazon wanting to go forward with the show. Also, you reminded me that I need to finish Shogun because I think I got like 3 episodes in. I was hooked on it. It's just that when I started watching it, there were so many other shows out at the time, so I need to go back and finish that because yeah, it definitely had a lot of potential just from what little I've seen.
Yeah, they announced the Shogun season 2 also, so you definitely need to wrap that one up too, man. Marcelino, what's up, Marcelino? This will, since there's no story or character development for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with the TV show, you kind of have to put effort in story and character development. I mean, I thought there was great character development and story for the movie itself. But yeah, I think getting the opportunity to adapt it, especially from a novel, certainly will have them focus on story and character development for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to that coming together. What are your thoughts on just Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon as a film in general? It's been a few years. When I saw this news article, I was thinking maybe I should revisit this movie and certainly watch it. So it might be on my rewatch list for sure. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section box below. Hunter, what's up, Hunter? Good to certainly see you in here. Appreciate you certainly coming through today. Hunter says, I say your prediction on Superman. You said 850 million. Am I right on this? I believe so. I can't remember where my predictions was. I think I said anywhere between 750 and a billion. But honestly, Stuart, I think the more and more that I watch it, I think Superman's capable of a billion. Maybe that's a lot to ask, but the idea of 850 million at least does not seem far off for me. I think it's capable of doing that the more and more that I see of this movie.
I think if this movie is good, not great, but just good, 800 million easily. If this movie is amazing, if it's definitely a movie that like catches, if it's as great as like James Gunn is really hoping it's going to be, it catches people's eyes and like, no, you need to see this on the big screen. Undoubtedly, it's going to hit a billion. Because the thing that works so much with Superman is that he is a character that appeals to people of all ages. So I think that, that's the type of character that can break $1 billion.
Marcelino says, I see some people say that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is just one long fight scene with no story or character development. I would say rewatch the movie. I would say rewatch the movie for sure. He says, I'm also surprised you guys are excited for this. Is Sony TV we're talking about here? It is also Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. I know Sony TV is involved in regards to the drama comes from writer, executive producer, and Sony Pictures Television. Were both are under overall deal. So maybe it's Sony Pictures Television's working on it, but it's just being branded for Amazon. But I do expect Amazon to certainly have some say in it. And I don't know. I would have to see what else Sony Pictures Television is certainly doing these days. I know I have a problem with some of their films, television wise. I'll be interested to see what they do. But yeah, we'll see. Before we get into live viewer questions, Hunter says, Adam, what is your thoughts on Fantastic Four might be woke? And if it is woke, how much money do you think James Gunn's Superman will make now and after its run and the inflation? I don't see. Well, I mean, I don't know if I would. I mean, I guess the idea of putting the woke label on Fantastic Four, I guess I don't know what that means. I don't know what that
characters
means.
are light. I don't know
Yeah,
how that's I'm not surprised though. There's people that'll find a reason to say it's too woke, even though I don't know. It's
I mean,
weird.
maybe it is woke. I just don't know if I look at woke as a derogatory term that other people do.
I feel like it gets misused a lot because to me,
Yeah,
woke simply just means being aware. That is it.
yeah,
If a movie brings up a social issue in some way, shape, or form, which they have been doing since the beginning of films, since the very beginning of films, since Casablanca, you could easily say Casablanca was the original woke film. Movies have always been woke. It's just being socially aware. That is it.
yeah. So I'm like, I mean, I guess fantastic. I guess, yeah. I mean, that's the way that people are labeling it these days. I don't. I don't. That's why I'm like, I don't know what you mean, what people mean by that, because it's like,
Quote,
yeah,
I quote
okay,
Princess Bride. That word, you use it a lot. I don't think you know what it
yeah, I
means.
don't think you know what that word means. Not that you don't know what it means, Hunter, but the people that are using it in that terms, it's like, I guess Fantastic Four is woke in some capacity, but I don't know if they using it the way that they like the intentions of how they use that word. It doesn't align with me. Um, I think the movie, look, regardless of like what one concept of what Johnny, Joseph Quinn said about Fantastic Four, um, I think really separates people that are knowledgeable from comic books of Fantastic Four are to people that have just watched a movie one time and saw one iteration of a character and just assume that that's who he's been in the comic books his whole entire life, and that's just not the case. Will it affect Fantastic Four? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I can't remember what we predicted, Stuart. I know we had a question one time about Jurassic World, Rebirth, Fantastic Four, and Superman. Who does better at the box office? Do you remember who you said?
I between Fantastic Four and Superman, I was predicting Superman.
Superman. I think I went with Fantastic Four. I can't remember though. I think it definitely has changed now. I still think Fantastic Four is going to be lucrative regardless. Is it going to be $1 billion film? That I don't know. I'm not ready to say that yet. Maybe I did say that last time. I don't know. But I definitely need to see more. Like, I feel like once I see a new trailer for Fantastic Four, I might be like $1 billion film. Like, I really have no idea. But I'm starting to think more and more Superman will be the more lucrative. I don't know if it's going to be of the three, because I can still see Rebirth bringing in $1 billion just because it's a Jurassic World movie. But I do think I'm starting to think now Superman might make more than Fantastic Four. I don't think that has anything to do with Joseph Quinn's comments, though. Um, Chicken says, "Oh no, so woke. The world is ending." Yeah, I know. I at this point, it makes me roll my eyes when I hear that these days, man. I think people are over it too. But with that out of the way, guys, let's get into some. Well, Stuart, I think you know what time it is.
I do indeed. And now, everybody, it is time for live viewer questions. Questions.
And we're going to get into our live viewer question segment of the show. For those of you who are wondering, we usually will post our live viewer questions every Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening for you guys. How do you submit a live viewer question? Well, it's pretty simple. Just go over to our YouTube page, as you see right here. Click on this post tab, and voila, live viewer questions. Let's go ahead and get into this. And while we do, let me get this music set up for us today. Let me make sure it's not too loud on our end. And give me a little second for my voice to regulate here. Stuart, do you have any upcoming movies you're looking forward to this month?
Apart from Sinners, I'm just gonna do a quick Google search.
I have tickets. Hopefully it'll regulate here soon. Can you guys hear me okay, Stuart? Can you hear me now?
I sure can.
Okay. I got tickets to go see Warfare on Monday. I've been hearing really good things about it. I already have my tickets for Warfare. I have not gotten my tickets for Sinners yet. I'm probably going to grab them here with the girlfriend to go get like a Friday showing of it. I probably have not had the opportunity. I don't, there's not an IMAX. There is an IMAX next to me, but I am kind of surprised that the IMAX theater that I have next to me is not showing Sinners in the IMAX format, which is kind of crazy. It's the Parks at Arlington, I believe. I believe they have an IMAX screening there along with Dolby. But when I looked up for tickets, I did not see it at the IMAX screen there, which is kind of stunning to me. Chicken on Sex says, so are you gonna make the drive to see 7mm Sinners? I brought our tickets today when I saw it. It was right next to us. I am committed to make the drive. I'm gonna see Sinners. That'll probably be like my second or third showing of it, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna plan on getting tickets to go see it in Dolby Cinema here with the girlfriend, probably on Friday. And then I don't know if I'm gonna do it that weekend or maybe a Monday night. But I may try and get with my friend Jonathan and drive all the way the freak out to Dallas, Jesus, to try and see Sinners, because I do want to see it on the 7mm format. I believe it's the Webb Chapel Theater or something like that. They're Cinemark IMAX, so I might give it a shot. But Ryan Coogler has convinced me I need to see this movie in as many formats as I possibly can, bro.
I hopefully will be able to watch it on film when it gets released. I assume we're getting it on 70mm because we usually, for the big movies, get 70mm for those. So I hope we get it. And if we do, my other hope is, because we always do like staff screenings for really big movies, I'm hoping the projectionist is available because I want to watch this
Nice.
in 70mm.
Nice. Have you seen the 10-minute Ryan Coogler video that he did?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It's on our Facebook page, but Chicken on Stick says, the moment I saw the video with Coogler and he said only 10 theaters in the world can do it, the one was Webb Chapel, I was like, hold on, that's like 10 minutes away from me. Yeah, so Ryan Coogler teamed up, if you haven't seen it, Ryan Coogler teamed up with Kodak to present like not only the different formats that Sinners can be shown in, but Ryan Coogler really breaks down his love of filmmaking and technical aspects and the type of film that's used throughout like the course of Hollywood history. He emphasizes like what he shot Sinners on, how important not only what he shot it on, but like how what he shot it on fits to the different formats of the movie theaters that are offered to us today. And he literally, it's like a meticulous breakdown of not just like filming, but the technical aspects of filming and how you can enjoy the movie on different theater screens. I mean, he kind of gives an emphasis as to like how beneficial it is to see it on each of them and stuff. And it really takes in consideration that like, look, not everybody will be able to afford these different aspects to see it on, but he really shows love and appreciation for like every aspect it's being shown in. And I gotta tell you, I learned something. I thought it was really impactful for me personally. It shows his love for cinema and just how brilliant this man certainly is, and the fact that he is taking such good care of a movie like Sinners. And just, I don't know, it's a really great celebration. If you're a film goer, if you love movies, his 10-minute video with Kodak, I think you guys will really appreciate it. We do have it up on our Facebook page if you want to. But after watching it, Stuart, I'm like, I may have to see this movie like 3-4 times and like all these different variations just to truly appreciate it. But he does say that there are like 10 movies in this country that will be playing it in 77mm. And I think he said there's like a handful of like 5 that actually have like a projection or something like that will also be filming it. So it's pretty incredible. And so if you have a theater near you that will be playing Sinners in the format it's meant to be seen in, I highly recommend you guys certainly check it out. But yeah, I think I'm committed to try and go to Webb Chapel in Dallas and check it out here. Hopefully the weekend or sometime that week after it drops, but we'll see. But let's get into these live viewer questions, shall we? Sorry, I know we're running a little bit behind here. Doomsday, do you think it's kind of funny how only the anniversary seasons to pay homage to Mighty Morphin and its core 5-color scheme was Operation Overdrive and Megaforce? I guess I never really recognized that, but is that true, Stuart?
I guess I never noticed it either.
Because I'm trying to anniversary seasons. Do we have another anniversary season after?
Anniversary seasons. My bad.
Yeah, so they continued the color scheme.
Yeah, honestly, that kind of makes sense to my opinion, that they would do that. Yeah, because if you're celebrating, you want to remember the roots, you know.
Do you think it's cool how Marvel isn't afraid to tackle real world issues in their projects? We've gone from PTSD in Iron Man 3 to racism in Black Panther to now mental health issues in Thunderbolts. Yeah, they're certainly not afraid to to shy away from it. I thought they did a really good job too. Outside of Thunderbolts, maybe not movie wise, but television series wise, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought did a really great job about that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I feel like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the one that really like kind of because like with Black Panther it was less about like kind of God, how do I word it? It was less about like kind of racism, like American racism, and more of like just kind of overall like kind of just worldwide like kind of issues, I guess you could say. Whereas like whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier actually felt like kind of more personal kind of racism of like living in America kind of a thing. And I love how just like the comic books, they tackle these issues because they exist in real life and they can exist even within the fantasy world of superheroes. And it's like sometimes people really need to see themselves on the big screen, see how like these characters navigate the world, and how even these characters like a character like Sam Wilson, even he can get brought down by things like that, so it kind of adds like that whole layer of relatability to it. But yeah, overall I think like bringing up real world issues is a smart thing to do within comic book worlds, because yeah, again, it gives people like just another whole new layer of how to connect to these characters.
Yeah, and I think with Black Panther felt like almost a lesson in like isolationism to me a little bit, in the sense of like you have the ability to do all this good and help other people out there in the world, and yet you kind of stay to yourself, right? And I think that's one of the issues Killmonger had, was the idea of like, my father had to escape and it, kind of kept me in secret sort of thing, and you guys just kind of left me here. And it's I think a really valuable lesson for T'Challa to learn, because it's clearly one that he does by the end of the movie, in the sense of wanting to build like a facility out in like Oakland or something like that to help inner city kids, and having that knowledge and that wealth and that level of technology, and kind of keeping it to yourself. The fear of like allowing that to be out and available to other people, but there also being other side to it of the benefits of it as well, and having that ability to help people when you can. So I thought it was some really good. I would agree with you, Stuart, in that sense. What else we got here? Marcelino, everyone loves guest characters in fighting games, but there's a problem that's becoming more vocal recently. This is specifically problematically for Mortal Kombat, but I can see other franchises having this problem in the future. The problem is the overabundance of guest characters. Where Mortal Kombat did guest characters mainly 2 or 3 that felt balanced. They increased the number when Mortal Kombat 11 came out, with 5 guest characters, and then people started feeling like it was being overdone, but hit a boiling point with Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1's whole thing was to neglect the popular A-listers so that the B, C, and D listers got their time to shine. Some of these characters weren't in a game for over a decade, so with a huge amount of guest characters, many felt like the lesser known characters who needed more attention were getting cast aside. Not only that, but it was the first time where the choices for the guest characters were bad choices, specifically Arnold's Conan and T-1000. We already got the Terminator last game, so having another Terminator character felt repetitive, and Conan was a character no one was asking for. And another Arnold character felt repetitive. Some didn't even know Arnold's Conan existed until he was announced. Do you guys think any other fighting games could have similar problems with guest characters in the future?
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I kind of see where they're coming from with this. Um, I think that as long as you keep the core characters, I don't see it being an issue. But yes, I could see in the future if video games don't do this, I could see games like Super Smash Brothers falling down that hole. Like eventually they just stop using Nintendo characters. Same with like same with they don't really use guest characters often in Street Fighter, I don't think.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't think of maybe I'm trying to think of not Virtual Fighter. God, I'm aging myself. Soul
Tekken,
Calibur,
oh,
like
Soul Calibur
Soul
does.
Calibur did, right? And they had
Mhm.
like Yoda and stuff and Darth Vader or some shit.
That was the coolest thing. If you got like the Xbox version, you had Yoda, but if you got the PlayStation version, you had Darth Vader. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but yeah, they definitely didn't overutilize it then, I don't think. It was like one or two characters, but yeah, maybe it is becoming out of control. I'm not a gamer like that anymore, so I can't really say, but yeah, I can see how it can become an issue though.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, because I don't keep up with especially with fighting games, I don't buy it as much as I used to. Like for me, it doesn't affect like how I look at these games, but I could definitely, if I was a fan of these and I noticed that this was like an issue, is that they're relying solely on like the guest characters, it's kind of like what the problem that people have with Magic of the Gathering this last year is that like every set that's been released this year has mostly been different IPs. They haven't been releasing anything that continues the story or the lore of Magic the Gathering. It's been we've had SpongeBob, we've had Avatar, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender coming up, and we've had Final Fantasy, and what's the other one that came out this year? I can't remember, but yeah, it's that kind of same issue that some people have with Magic the Gathering. I'm not as deep into Magic the Gathering as everyone else, so I still will buy these sets like when they come out, but I totally get if someone's been following Magic the Gathering for years, why they would definitely be upset about it.
He also says, number 2, I said this before, but I want to repeat myself because I was restricted by the live chat's character limit. I know you guys haven't read the recent Amazing Spider-Man comics run by Zeb Wells, but I want to get your opinion. Zeb Wells is seen as a guy who ruined Spider-Man and is seen as the Eric Wallace of Spider-Man. Here's why people hate him. He made Peter a loser where he loses fights constantly and has to beg his villains for mercy. He ended the Peter and MJ relationship by having Peter get lost, and his priority was make sure MJ was okay. He was forced to team up with Norman Osborn and had to fight the Fantastic Four, only to find out that MJ cheated on him with a normal guy named Paul. This apparently drove Peter mad so much that he became the new Green Goblin, dubbed the Spider Goblin. Many have said it felt like a rehash of the Superior Spider-Man storyline, except worse. He also gave MJ powers because he's that uncreative and lazy. There are many other problems, but these are the main ones. I'd have to read some of this in context to get the main story, but the drove Peter mad, so he became the new Green Goblin because his girlfriend cheated on him. Like, God, Peter. Like, it makes you a villain, bro. I mean, I know it pisses people off, but a villain? Damn, dude. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I haven't read his Zeb Wells. I did though. Hold on. This is a variant cover, but I did pick up the newest. If you guys can see it, I did pick up the newest Amazing Spider-Man issue #1. I haven't had the opportunity to read it yet, but this is my first visit to the comic book store in like 2 years, maybe it feels like. So I'm going to try and give the new Spider-Man a shot here. But yeah, I haven't read his run, but sounds kind of ridiculous, Stuart.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like something I could see why fans would be upset of.
Yeah, that would piss me off too.
Yeah, I think my problem, the problem with me like keeping up with comic books now is, and I'm only just now realizing this about myself. I get hyper fixations. And so with that, it's like when I get into comic books, I'll be like super sucked into it for like a year straight, reading a crap ton of comic books. And then I'll go like a year or two without reading anything. So I'm always out of the loop on this kind of stuff. And I think right now I'm in that like kind of 2 years without reading. But then once I go back into it, I'm going to start binging the hell out of a bunch of comic books. So I am kind of curious to see, if this run is as bad as, some of the fans like will point out.
I'm gonna take a stance here. Look, I know Peter Parker is the character that like always has a hard time in life. His life is messy. He has struggles like everyday people do. But like, I need Peter Parker to have some wins too. I need him to have some level of success. So I know that like as a person, I can connect with him. And I don't want to view myself as this character like my life is always gonna be shit. You know, like I need to know that there is an aspect of Peter Parker's life that he is happy with, and that he struggles to balance like we do as everyday people. Like we have losses, but we also have wins. And for me, just because Peter Parker's life is messy, I don't think he has the right to be alone. And I don't know if Peter Parker, again, I have not read a Spider-Man comic book in years, but I think I was turned off at the notion of him not being with Mary Jane. I don't know who he's with now. I don't know if he has a love interest now in the comic books, or if he's building a relationship sort of thing. But the back and forth between him and Mary Jane has just been so frustrating. I am one of those people that have always wanted to see him with Mary Jane. I would like to see him settle down with Mary Jane. I think it would be interesting to continue to see the struggles of their marriage, but certainly work through them. You know, when you say you hit the jackpot, Tiger, I'm expecting this to be something that goes on for life, that MJ is going to be ride or die with you for like the entirety of your run here. I want to see you have kids. I want to see the struggle of Peter having kids and balance a superhero life sort of thing. I mean, I just don't, I don't know why they got to put this man through the ringer to make him feel miserable all the time. I want to see Peter Parker get some wins. And so I'm hoping that as I get back into this amazing Spider-Man run, hopefully he can do that for me, but we'll see. I have no idea what his course in life has been. You have always said the phrase "show don't tell," and to not overly rely on exposition. However, when does the opposite happen? Can you name a movie or show that was amazing because it had huge amounts of exposition, and if it relied on showing the audience rather than telling, it would ruin it? Can you name a movie or show that was amazing because it had huge amounts of exposition, and if it relied on showing the audience rather than telling, it would ruin it?
So one of the cases where telling instead of showing actually works in its favor. I'm just going to look up movies with lots of exposition and then just see if I can find one that actually worked because of it. Because, man, I guess
I felt like I just had an example of this recently, and I'm blanking on it right now.
I feel like one genre, I can't give a specific example, but I can give a genre example. Probably mystery like kind of films. I feel like you need to do the telling instead of showing, because when you're telling it, you're seeing it through the detective's point of view. Therefore, the information that you have is the same information as the detective. If someone, you know, unless they purposely want to mislead you, just so you have a red herring. But like, let's say the killer tells the detective, "Oh, well, I was gathering the mail," and then we see a flashback where he's not actually gathering the mail because he actually went in to kill the person. That's bad writing right there. You're showing us what actually happened, and now the mystery aspect is gone. Whereas like, if the person just like says, "Oh, I was getting the mail," and the only information we have is what the detective knows, which is that, okay, this guy claims he was getting the mail on the day this guy was murdered, but it was a Sunday. Oh, we have to now put two and two together. There's no mail on Sunday. This guy is lying, you know, something like that. So I think that's kind of like, again, I can't give a specific example, but I can say that mysteries in general are kind of the example. And again, you can do like a subversive thing where you show us something to make it look like I think Knives Out, the first one, did.
I'm not saying like Knives Out is a good example of that. Yeah,
they gave us a flashback that showed us like what we thought was everything, but then, you know, when you get like to that like last third of the movie, it's like, oh no, there was a whole other piece that they didn't show us about this.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I had one on the tip, but I just cannot remember now as far as like where it's actually beneficial. I'll have to get back to you on that one, Marcelino. When it comes to Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling, many people have said that they refuse to support anything Harry Potter related because it doesn't want to support transphobe. well-known transgender YouTuber and hardcore Trekkie fan, Jesse Gender, has said that we should not support anything in Harry Potter, and we should rather support creators who do not cause harm. She also said that if you don't directly attack trans people, watching Harry Potter show basically says that your entertainment is more important than helping trans people. And this isn't her trying to cancel or boycott. It's just facts. I do remember her. I do remember watching some of that video. Why promote the Harry Potter show? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just I don't really I've heard some of JK Rowling's stuff before, but I didn't I mean, I've definitely heard some of her stuff. And I've heard some of the pushback that a lot of the even like Daniel damn, what's his name now? Daniel damn it, I can't remember his name now.
Or wait, do you mean David Tennant?
No, yeah, David Tennant has come out and talked about it too. But I thought even
Daniel Radcliffe, that's right.
Daniel Radcliffe has kind of talked about it also a little bit too. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, can you know, the idea of not supporting anything Harry Potter, you know, if you do watch the show, does that mean that you're supporting transphobia in a sense? I mean, I guess you're adding to lining the pockets of J.K. Rowling to a certain extent. But I don't know. How do you feel about that, Stuart? I feel like kind of on the fence about it. I mean, I guess, you know, look, if I could be honest, if I could be dead ass honest with you, it's a reason why I didn't watch Kamen Rider that season, because I discovered the idea that one of their voice actors did blackface, and I was really vocal about the idea of doing blackface. And because of that, I decided I wasn't going to promote it. I don't think we watched it or anything like that, because of what it represented to me, at least, you know. So I think it would be kind of hypocritical in the sense of me keeping that type of viewpoint, but then supporting a show that does harm to people. If somebody like that is connected to it, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I feel really conflicted right now.
It is definitely a really hard, because it's going to be made regardless. And the thing is, boycotting it, it's not like I really don't think it would make a difference if enough people boycotted it. I think that because of how much it has going on around it, and just overall because of the amount of people because we look at the internet and we think that everyone uses social media. We think that everyone's in the know about who's a terrible person in terms of the world of Hollywood or not. But that's not the case. It's like we're a very small minority compared to the vast majority of people who scroll on TikTok but don't know about kind of the inner workings of Hollywood and that kind of stuff. So with that being said, I think that people are just going to see Harry Potter and they're going to get excited. They're going to watch it. It's going to be a success regardless. And I think that just saying you shouldn't watch it because you're supporting anti-trans, I think it's a little unfair to say that to an extent, but here's my overall takeaway from it. I think that if you want to watch the series, but you're uncomfortable supporting, this person, J.K. Rowling, because she is a bigot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She is a huge bigot, not just with the trans community, but with the LGBTQ community in general. She's a bigot. She even posted this whole thing on Ace, what's it called? Ace Visibility Day, or it's called something like that. But basically, when we're recognizing, asexuals, she posted this whole statement where it's and it just made no sense to me, because to me asexuals are the least harmful community you could possibly shit on. She finds a way to just kind of shit on the ace community, and it's why?
Yeah, I mean,
we're literally the most harmless community.
I mean, we're talking about less than 1% of the population, you know what I'm saying?
So all that to be said, I think that there is another angle we can look at through this. if you're going to watch it, but you don't want to, or if you want to watch this, but you also don't feel comfortable supporting a trans hater, I do think that the two options are find a way to watch it without, directly giving it the viewership through HBO Max, whether it be through, man, I feel like if I say this out loud, we're going to get in trouble if I say that I'm supporting piracy, but I kind of get piracy in this kind of sense, So I hope we don't get in trouble for me promoting piracy, but that's what I'm going to do for this. But then the other thing too, there was a SNL joke from Pete Davidson that I really like. And I kind of, I somewhat live by this in a little bit of a way. If you feel really guilty about it, you're watching it on HBO Max, but you don't like that you're giving viewer to a TERFs. How about right when you're done watching that, you go out of your way to find something that you normally wouldn't watch that's produced by a trans writer or director. You go out of your way every time you watch something that's produced by a bigot or someone who you just do not like supporting. You go and you watch something that supports the exact opposite cause, something that you actually believe in right afterwards. You make up for it. You do a little bit of a balance. You know what I mean? Pete Davidson made this whole joke when he was talking about R. Kelly, where he goes, yeah, I still listen to his music. Every time I do, I donate $2 to women who have been who've gone through some sort of sexual harassment into like a charity every time I listen to a song. Now, I'm not a celebrity, so I can't afford to give $2 to a charity every time I listen to a song, because holy crap, that would be a lot. But at the same time, I like that mindset. Even if that mindset was done as a joke, I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. If you really feel guilty about watching something that supports someone bad, support someone else afterwards, do you agree, actually? Because
Pete Davidson, that's hilarious, dude.
Oh yeah. Pete Davidson's the hilarious dude.
Chicken says she's already super rich. Not watching or buying a ticket won't hurt at all. You can draw your own line in the sand, but you would be hard pressed to find such a big movement to actually stop whoever you want to boycott. I'm down with the first option that you put out there for 2, and then I would say, if that's the case, if you are going to watch it, don't promote it, don't review it, don't talk about it, don't put, don't give to the idea of trying to get other people to watch it or give your thoughts on it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't try and promote it in that way at all. But yeah, man, that's an interesting question, Marcelino. Thank you for asking it, man, and challenging us for sure. The most talented man in the world. The film Straight Outta Compton vividly portrayed the exploitative nature of the music industry through Ice Cube's experience with Jerry Heller. I still have not watched this damn movie. The pivotal scene where Cube discovers he's the only member with a contract emphasizes Heller manipulative tactics and the inherent risks artists face, while Heller painted the music business as dangerous, the landscapes where many fail. The film portrays other NWA members, notably Eazy-E, as readily embracing the allure of money and fame. In other words, selling your souls at the expense of fair deals. This contrast highlights Ice Cube's principled stance on seeking legal counsel, fueled by his growing frustration as the primary songwriter who felt undervalued, while Eazy-E reaped significant financial rewards. Given the film's portrayal of this dynamic, how much responsibility should artists bear in understanding the complexities of their contracts versus the liability of managers and labels to act ethically? Oh, they shouldn't understand everything. That's why you should have lawyers. Okay. Yes. That's why you should have lawyers. It's very important for sure, because you can't rely on managers or labels to act ethically at all. Everything is a financial reason for them. They want to get the most out of you with paying you as little as they possibly can, which is why you need a lawyer to help understand the complexities of contracts. So absolutely valuable.
For sure. Get a lawyer, tell the lawyer what you want out of this contract, and make sure that's what you're getting from it. I think it's like kind of the best way to go for it, because music producers will fuck you any way they can. You hear it from literally every famous musician ever, how they were at the top, and then once the producer notices a slight dip in quality or slight dip in sales, you're done with you. Yep. And then you can't even produce your own music because they still own you. It's a mess. Music producers are some of the worst, people. Not every music producers. I'm sure there's good ones out there, but for the most part, they're some of the worst scumbags on the planet.
Chicken on a Stick says such a great movie. Yeah, I gotta check it out, man. Peg C, have you had the chance to watch Hollywood Demons episode? If so, what were your thoughts? I have not watched it yet, man. I need to, though. The Dark Side of the Power Rangers. I gotta assume it's only like 40 minutes, maybe. I have no idea how long the episode is, but I gotta watch it. You said you hadn't seen it, right?
I haven't. It is funny though, because on TikTok, I'll have people talking about it, and they'll point out a couple of things where I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember. I knew about this," but it's like funny to hear people that aren't like Power Rangers fans discovering this kind of stuff for the first time.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy. Um, let's see here. We also have. He says, "Did you ever watch Tailspin as a kid? If so, what did you think of the show back in the '90s?" Man, Tailspin. It's been forever. Wasn't it with like Baloo from the Jungle Book or something like that? And he was a pilot, and he had like a kid with him or some shit like that. Was that Baloo that was with him? I can't
Looks like
remember.
it. I've never seen this, but it's on Disney Plus.
I barely remember it. I did watch it as a kid, but I barely remembered it. I enjoyed it. I dug the idea of him being like a pilot and stuff. It had like the aesthetics of like a like, I don't know, they had like a 60s vibe to me almost. And some of the clothing and the styles and stuff like that of it, but I enjoyed it for what it was, from what I can remember. I just don't remember too much of it though. What are your thoughts on The Simpsons being renewed for 4 more seasons, taking it through its 40th season? This renewal, announced April 2nd, also extends to the run of Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, and American Dad through their respective 27th, 19th, and 20th to 23rd seasons. The renewal of The Simpsons, Family Guy, Bob Burgers, and American Dad will take them through 2028 to 2029. The Hollywood Reporter reports that the 4-season renewals, a mega deal with Disney, will push The Simpsons into its 40th, likely approaching 900 episodes by the end of the run. Are they going for 1,000? You think, Stuart? I mean, I don't even know what the ratings are like for The Simpsons these days, but that's remarkable to me. Kudos to them, man, for having the longevity of this show that has run maybe 2-3 generations of people. Like, no joke. I do wonder if this is gonna be like, how far they plan on going with the show. Are they aiming for 1,000 episodes? I have no clue, but kudos to them, man.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like animated shows like this, what the reason they're able to go on for so long, because it's the type of show where it's the same status quo and people kind of know what the formula is, what that status quo is. So it's like not the hardest job to, to bring in new writers and then, rotate writers once they kind of get, once they want to move on to another job to find someone else to take over. I imagine it's not the most challenging job in the world.
Let's see here. Power of the Morphing Grid, honoring Tommy Oliver's legacy through his son. Power Ranger franchise has a unique opportunity to respectively revisit the legacy of the iconic Tommy Oliver following the passage of JDF by bringing back Michael R. Gatto as an adult version of Tommy's son, JJ. Gatto, who originally portrayed a young Tommy during the Alien Rangers mini saga, possesses a nostalgic connection to the character's history, introducing him as an adult JJ from the future, wielding Tommy's Master Morpher as seen as in Dimensions in Danger, would allow for the return of the beloved Ranger forms like Dino Thunder, Black Zeo Red, and both Mighty Morphin Green and White. This concept not only honors Tommy's contributions, but also mirrors the introduction of Min Kwan in the 30th anniversary special Once and Always, who took up her mother Trini's mantle as the Yellow Ranger, establishing a precedent for legacy characters. Furthermore, the significant role of an adult JJ with the Master Morpher in Boom Studios comics provides a strong foundation and inspiration for his potential inclusion in the television universe. This iteration of JJ could seamlessly integrate into the established Power Ranger continuity or even be a compelling element of a franchise reboot. His martial arts training, subtly hinted at in Once and Always, further enforces his connection to his father. Rather than securing solo series, adult JJ could join the future Rangers team, formerly offering a familiar yet fresh dynamic. Michael R. Grotto's personal connection to JDF, having met him during his time as a young Tommy, and his continued presence at Power Ranger conventions as an extra layer of heartfelt tribute to his possibility. Incorporating Gatto as adult JJ would be a meaningful way to keep Tommy Oliver's spirit alive with the Power Ranger universe, paying homage to both the character and cherished actor who brought him to life. How would fans react to seeing adult JJ take on his father's Ranger's mantle? Could this concept successfully bridge the gap between longtime fans and a new generation of Power Ranger viewers? The only way I can see this working is in Boom Studios comics. I think just from a television live action perspective, I think we're way past that at this point. I'm not under the impression that Hasbro or um, whoever they're teaming up with wants to have that sort of connection to the past. I do expect their upcoming Power Ranger universe to be a complete reboot and disconnected from the past 28 or 30 years of Power Rangers. So I don't necessarily know if they would go that route. I mean, maybe one of their main characters. I just don't think that they're thinking that broadly in regards to connecting or honoring JDF in any capacity when it comes to the live action stuff. So, maybe Michael Gatto can have some say in maybe Boom Studio Comics in regards to highlighting that character or whatever the case may be. But comic book wise, maybe. Live action wise, unfortunately, no. I don't see it happening. Jessica Friedman, when do you think the new animated Avatar series will come out, and when do you think we'll hear about casting for the main story arc of the new Power Rangers series? When do you think the new animated Avatar series will come out? Oh, did we have a release date for that? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but if I were to kind of guess, I would assume they're probably going to do production sometime this year, so probably next year.
Let me see, new Avatar animated series.
Oh wait, animated series. Oh, sorry, I was thinking live action. I don't think we're going to get that because animation takes a while, so I don't think we're going to get that till like 2026, 2027, like late 2026 if we get it.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
I think they even said 2026 was their goal, but let me look it up.
When do you think we hear about casting in the main story arc for the new Power Rangers series? I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something about it like towards the end of this year. Give me 1 second. Let me try and look this up to new Power Rangers Netflix series. All right, this is from Disney's live action Power Ranger reboot, Everything We Know. Yeah, we got the showrunners and the writers. Yeah, I don't see a release date yet. If anything, I think if you got the show writers on board, I would assume maybe you've got let me see, Power Rangers Disney Plus. I'm trying to remember the article that we read in regards to this. Okay. They got the writers. They'll reinvent the franchise. Yeah, it doesn't really have a date in which they plan on dropping, but I would assume maybe by the end of the year, maybe we can get some casting. I don't know. I mean, if you got the showrunners on board, maybe that means they're currently working on the scripts. So I would assume production would go and they would go into production sometime in 2026. But so yeah, maybe by the end of this year. What are your thoughts on kids acting up in audiences of the Minecraft movie? You work in theaters, Stuart. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think there are some showtimes like I think there was actually a funny example, like someone brought up as a comparison. Someone was trying to compare it to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where it's like it's a show you go to where you're meant to be basically is like super juvenile, like during the movie. But that's also because it's meant for that kind of audience. I think the problem with Minecraft is some people are going into it wanting to just watch a movie, and then you have adults acting like kids being super disruptive, and then you just kind of completely ruin their experience. Someone who paid like $25 for that ticket. So I think that like if you want to be juvenile while watching a movie, that's fine, but you got to make sure that you're doing it in a way that doesn't disrupt other people. So like if this is how you want to act watching Minecraft, Minecraft, wait for it to come to home release, or do a private screening, buy a private screen, which I mean is expensive, don't get me wrong, but if you have enough people that you want to do it with, you know, they can chip in, you can easily do it. Just, you know, buy a private screening for yourself and then have you and your group of friends act like that. But I think it's just very unfair to the people around you if you go into theater acting juvenile while other people are just there to watch the movie.
Sam, hey guys, I'm excited about the Italian tokusatsu Gormiti New Era on BBC iPlayer English dubbed on Monday. Bit similar to Power Rangers Kamen Rider, and also Mystic Knights. Yeah, I think Sam tagged me in a post on Twitter that showed like a promo image of it. It looks interesting. I had no idea that like the UK had their own tokusatsu type of series, but it's fascinates me enough to want to try and figure out a way to watch it. He says it's going to be on BBC iPlayer, English dub, so maybe it'll be worth a shot to give it a look-see and see what it's like. He says it's on Monday, so maybe I'll try and check it out in the middle of the week. If it's I don't know if BBC iPlayer is like an app I can download on Google Store to watch this stuff, or if I gotta pay to for BBC iPlayer or not. But I'll find a way. I will find a way to try and watch this tokusatsu UK series. I'm fascinated to see what they do with it.
It's interesting because, like, as I'm looking it up, I have two completely separate shows, and I can't tell if they're related or not because one's animated, the other one's live action. But the color scheme and even kind of the costumes look really similar. So I'm actually not sure if they're like meant to be connected or not. But that's funny.
Oh, I see what you mean. The cartoon. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I don't know what it's like, but yeah, I'll check it out. My friends call me Joseph. With Karate Kid Legends film set within the same continuity as the beloved trilogy and a recently concluded Cobra Kai series, the possibility of familiar faces making a cameo appearances is a major point of speculation among fans. Considering the film is set 3 years after the events of Cobra Kai, it's plausible that Daniel LaRusso's wife, Amanda, could be the first to encounter Jackie Chan's Han, perhaps informing them that Daniel is currently at Miyagi-Do. This would neatly establish the film's timeline and connection to the series. Their children Samantha and Anthony could also potentially appear, with Samantha possibly returning from college in Okinawa or home for a break, and Anthony now more dedicated martial arts under the combined tutelage of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang. Another strong contender for a cameo is Jory Lawrence himself, given this close bond with Daniel. Which Cobra Kai character would fans be most excited to see or interact with Mr. Han and Li Fang? I'm kind of under the impression that we're not going to get any cameos. I feel like Jonathan Entwistle has talked a little bit about this, that while, yes, they kept in contact with Cobra Kai in regards to continuity, it feels like this is much more a continuation of the Karate Kid movie and not so much a continuation of Cobra Kai per se. So I think the connective tissues here will simply be just Ralph Macchio's Daniel LaRusso. So I think they've done a good job of separating them, but also not trying to step on each other's toes, and keeping in contact both production crews in regards to keeping things aligned from a storyline purpose. So I don't expect any cameos, but Stuart, just to play up the part here, if we were to get a Cobra Kai character, which ones do you think fans would be most excited to see interact with Mr. Han and Li Fang?
I think I'm with you. Daniel LaRusso's wife would make the most amount of sense because when the show ended, they were still on really good terms. And I kind of assumed all the kids wouldn't be around because they're all like at college, getting their actual lives started. And then, I know that there's like a whole rights thing with Johnny and it relating too much to Cobra Kai. So I don't think we're going to get Johnny, especially because the actor himself said he wasn't approached and that kind of upset him. So Yeah, I feel like we would have heard about it if Johnny was going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if anything, maybe Amanda briefly as a cameo, just to answer him at the door, then bring him in or something like that. But yeah, I don't. I was gonna say it would be really cool to see Johnny Lawrence in here, but I don't. Everything that you just said. So if anything, maybe Amanda. But again, I'm not even expecting her to pop up in this movie. The narrative could also explore how Mr. Han becomes aware of Daniel LaRusso in the first place, perhaps living in a world increasingly connected through media. Mr. Han might stumble upon news footage or online articles detailing Cobra Kai's triumphant victory at the Senkai Taikei, with prominent images of Daniel and Johnny proudly displaying the trophy together. This would naturally introduce Daniel as a respected and skilled figure in the martial arts world. Alternatively, the connection could arise more directly from Mr. Han's new student, Li Fong. If Li Fong is facing challenges or needs guidance beyond Mr. Han's immediate expertise, Mr. Han might actively seek out someone renowned in the American karate scene, leading him to discover Daniel LaRusso and his legendary journey. I'm kind of under the impression Mr. Han knows about Daniel LaRusso already. Not like he's just discovering him for the first time. I feel like Mr. Han and Mr. Miyagi have some sort of past, and he's kind of known about Daniel LaRusso for quite some time, which is why he reaches out to him, knowing who he is, not because of the fact that he just kind of discovered him, though. Marky Parco, one question for both you guys. Considering the sentiment of many fans' view of the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift as the last truly grounded installment, how could the franchise have evolved beyond street racing and heists into compelling narratives that maintain a sense of realism and character depth without resorting to increasingly outlandish action sequences and global espionage, thus avoiding a feeling of staleness while staying true to its initial focus on cars and found family dynamic? Like, according to a recent article, never mind, that's two different questions. So some fans viewing Tokyo Drift as the last fully grounded installment, how could the franchise have evolved beyond street racing and heists into compelling narratives that maintain the sense of realism and character depth without resorting to the increasing outlandish action sequences or global espionage?
I don't know. I honestly, I think
other
that,
ways they could have reinvented themselves.
I mean, there probably is. Hard to say, because when Tokyo Drift came out, the franchise didn't really have a very specific direction. So it going in this new over the top action kind of direction kind of made sense for the time. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember what the fourth one was like, because there's a part of me that feels like they had an idea of the direction that they wanted to go. I don't think they had jumped the shark yet by 4, though, right? Like, do you feel like there's a distinction between where they went from 4 to then at some point jumping the shark, or do you think 4 they immediately jumped the shark?
I think yeah, there was definitely a little bit of a in between fully jumping the shark between 4 and 5, but 4 definitely had some over the top moments. It just wasn't as over the top as it got to Fast 5. They weren't hurling a safe across the streets, and
because I've lost track. I've lost track.
But before, it did have some weird moments, such as Dominic Toretto being able to hold up a car engine with ease, and then also getting shot in the shoulder, but only blinking, barely actually reacting to it. It definitely had its moments like that, and even some of the stunts in the beginning, while awesome, don't get me wrong, freaking phenomenal stunts, again, over the top and just I think that 4 was when they started, but it didn't fully jump the shark until the 5th one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had the right course correction. I think the staleness just becomes, when do you end it? When do we keep going on with this stuff, guys? But eventually they stopped having that initial focus on cars, so maybe a little bit more balance as you get into 5 and 6 and things like that, but who knows? According to a recent article by Variety, Ben Affleck has stated he's lost interest in superhero movies after his excruciating experience playing Batman in the DCU universe, citing misalignment of agendas, his own unhappiness at the time, and the filming skewing too old, even to the point to where his son was too scared to watch. Given his negative experience and shift in focus in his production company, does Affleck's disillusionment signal a broader trend of burnout among actors in long-running superhero franchises? I don't think so. I just think it was a lot of bad things coming together all at once. You know, it's just unfortunate timing, I should say. Maybe not a lot of bad things, but I think in hindsight, I don't know if Ben was ever in a really good place mentally. He always loved the Batman character, so I'm sure there was a level of excitement. Um, but then when you got the mismanagement of Warner Brothers, and you look back at how terribly that all ended, um, it does bring up the idea of, like, how far would you have gotten with Ben Affleck's Batman? I mean, maybe Ben has a completely different perspective if he gets a solo movie or two solo movies under his belt, right? Um, I just think it was just bad timing for a lot of things, unfortunately. But I don't think it signals a broader trend of burnout among actors in long-running superhero franchises. Look at Hugh Jackman, right? Hugh Jackman couldn't get this man away from being a Wolverine, and he still managed to come back for Deadpool and Wolverine. So I don't think it's everybody's perspective. I just think it really has a lot to do with the studio, the company, how welcoming they make you feel, your own personal mental health, the fan base, the loud minority and stuff, and just level of storytelling that maybe you don't necessarily see eye to eye with all the time. So I just think it was a mixture of a lot of bad things.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's any one factor as to why he had a really bad burnout experience with playing Batman. I think there were multiple things, and I think the main one being Warner Brothers' constant course corrections. Because when he did it, he was under the idea that he would be playing Batman in, I believe, three, I think, like in a two-part Justice League movie, and of course in Batman v Superman, but that he would also get to direct his own Batman movie on top of that. And then this part, the studio did actually keep up with their part of the bargain. He also got to direct his own movie separated from the DC universe, which he ended up doing. Not a great movie, but it was okay. But he got to do that, and I think that, yeah, because he was doing so much, and because the studios kept constantly changing their minds about stuff, doing reshoots, especially during the Justice League whole thing, I think it's easy to see why he just got burnt out and just realized this wasn't for him.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like a burnout trend. I don't think a trend is happening here with people playing their roles for a really long time. I think there's plenty examples of it still being very beneficial for them to continue with these roles. Chicken on the Stick says no actor will be burnt out enough to not take a massive payday. I mean, look, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't see no burnout there. And then last but not least, we got Blossom. Remember how Don Brothers made the Rangers into one Zord? I think the Oni sister was one of the legs. Saru brother was one of the arms. How can Rangers be Zords if they're human? Weird, a conscious situation if I ever heard one. I haven't I'm trying to remember. Don Brothers, did they turn into Zords, the actual people themselves?
I haven't seen Don Brothers.
I can't remember. It's been so long. That sounds weird to me. Remember how I thought of, that's like a weird human centipede type of thing in my head. Remember how I thought of MMPR's theme, breaking the nightmarish Empire spell? I thought it could sort of break the spell by bringing some memories of the Power Rangers and their existence back. I'm still working out the kinks of that one. Yeah, keep working on it, Blossom. I'm sure you'll have a light bulb moment for sure. But yeah, I can't. Damn, it's been so long since I watched On Brothers. I'm gonna have to go back and check it out myself because the concept of humans being turned into Zords and them all connecting, it just sounds really inappropriate for some reason in my head. But I can't. I can't. I'll have to go back and watch the formation again. But appreciate you bringing that up, Blossom. But yeah, keep working at it in regards to that scenario you're trying to figure out. But guys, that will do it for all of our live viewer questions. Sorry this episode went as long as it did, but Stuart, it's good to have you back, man. Always appreciate having your thoughts here each and every week, buddy. And yeah, 2 weeks by myself was kind of lonely, so I'm glad I had somebody to bounce ideas off of and have a conversation with. But
definitely glad to be back.
Yeah, we'll keep you guys posted if we have a show on Sunday. If we do, maybe it's after a later afternoon show or an evening show. But I'll certainly keep you posted. I got invited to go to church on Easter Sunday. So I am debating if I'm going to take up that offer or not. It's been a minute since I've walked through the halls of Jesus. I'm hoping I don't burst into flames. So we'll see how it goes. But I may go next Sunday. So if I do have an APlus Hero Report show, it may be early. It may be sometime in the afternoon or maybe early evening. But I'll definitely keep you guys posted, especially if Chicken says my only temple is the cinema. Yeah, man. After watching 1,000 movies last year, yeah, you worship at the altar of the screen. I get you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll definitely keep you posted. If anything, maybe the return of Indy Uchiha, so we can go ahead and fulfill this trifecta. Have the Holy Trinity back for APlus Hero Report. But we'll definitely keep you guys posted. Stuart, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you, man?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 over on Instagram and on Letterboxd.
I just started a Letterboxd account this past weekend. My first review being The Amateur, which, if anything, if you guys want to check out, I did go ahead and see The Amateur Thursday night. I did drop my review on The Amateur on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out for yourself. I have plans on seeing Warfare later on this week. So expect a review from Warfare later on this week. Also, again, I'm also holding off my episode 8 Daredevil review until I watch the finale. I kind of want to watch it as a two-parter and review it as an episode 8 and 9 together as part of a finale. So expect my Daredevil Born Again 8 and 9 episode review later on this week. Yeah, and we have The Last of Us drops this week also. Starting tonight, season 2 of The Last of Us will be airing. I haven't decided if I want to do a review on that or not. I didn't do a review for season 1, so I may not do one for season 2. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how I feel about it. But we are getting ready for Andor season 2, which drops also next week, not this upcoming week, but the following week, April 22nd. And again, we will be doing live reviews of Andor Thursday nights beginning April 24th. So certainly join us then. But yeah, that will do it for us here, guys. If you want to follow us on social media everywhere at APlus Opinions, very active over on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Definitely follow us on our Facebook page. That's where we post all the news throughout the week, behind the scenes, featurettes, trailers, posters. We keep you up to date on the news, and then we take 6 topics from there and we talk about them here, certainly at the end of the week. We're also over on TikTok at Hero Report. Follow us everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. But until next week, do us a big favor, as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.